Good evening, everybody, and welcome to StatCheck episode 158. I believe in miracles dice. I hope everybody is having a wonderful, wonderful Tuesday. It is an hour earlier for our European compatriots because we operate on US time zones, because otherwise people like Anthony don't get to show up to the show when it's during work hours. So, unfortunately, that means even though he's not here, we are still beholden to his whims. I hope everybody's doing well today. I'm Ennis. I'm joined by Nathan. We've got a bunch of stuff to chat about today. We don't have stats, unfortunately. We've got a little bit of a backlog with that, and Jeremy is having some personal time. So we will have stats up to date as and when we can. But we're going to talk a bit about state of the meta game. We're going to talk about all of the new Space Marine equal time compensation content, I suppose is the easiest way to put it.
Yes.
Somebody's been building some lovely my favorite guy. Oh, I didn't change my title. I change my title every week, and this is the first time I've forgotten to do it because I was very busy right up until the point where we got on the call. But I've also got this boy ready and
That
waiting to
model
go.
is so cool. The Sabotan model
It's
is so
gonna
great.
be good. Why are we an hour early, Martine? I just said that, so clearly you've not been listening. Love you, buddy.
Damn, we're starting this stream off with just throwing people under the bus. As I was putting up the announcement in our Patreon, and it was like, "Are you sure you want to send this to 800 plus people?" And I was like,
The answer is like yes,
I
absolutely.
was like, "Yes."
They're in this podcast for us.
Why are you
So,
asking me to do this again? Why did we start asking? Just let me announce it, please.
yeah, just let me announce the announcement. It's fine.
Yeah.
We'll be talking a bit about my last 2 weekends of events because I missed the show last week because I was dying from just getting back from Sweden. So I'll be chatting about my singles event and my team event with Eldar. We'll be talking about the new Hammer of Averny, Spearpoint Task Force, and the previews for the new Ultramarines. There's a reason I'm wearing blue. Let's go with that. So yeah, we've got a whole bunch to chat about today. And that will be the show. It's just me and Nathan this week, so it should be a nice, quiet one. I hope everybody is doing just fine with that. But before we get too far ahead, Nathan, how you been, my friend?
I'm doing great. The fall weather is the best. I'm playing 40K with people, which is always a blast.
It's rare for you.
I I played 3 games of 40K this week, which was pretty good. I mostly with Eldari, so I played a game this morning for our team's event that we're doing on Vizsla on TTS. So I was paired into the Eldar mirror with basically, I sent Innes a draft of a list that I was thinking about for the Eldar thing, and he changed 2 things, and they just changed it back to Innes's list,
Which I wasn't even intentional. I hadn't even noticed that,
which was very funny to me personally because I was like, I want to take these things out and try something slightly different, and it was like, no, you should make these 2 changes. Like, shit, it's just back to where it started. It's been good though. I tried the other version of the list and got curb stomped into oblivion by somebody. So it was probably for the best. Instead, today I got a 10-10 draw into
Axel.
Excel, which was good. It was a really great experience. I was glad that at so early in the morning when I woke up to play against Axel, that he reminded me that I needed my CP to put things back into my Wave Serpent. That was very polite of him to do.
My utter favorite thing is that whenever I get the Fuigan squad out, I just take the CP tower down. I'm like, they're getting back in just in case I overspend. In case I try to overspend, they're getting back in already. It's done. We're not messing about.
Yeah, it was good because he's like, "Are you sure you want to do that?" And I was like looking at it. He's like, "Don't you want them to go back someplace?" I was like, "Oh, thank you, Axel. Thank you for making my non-caffeinated brain work like it should instead of watching me make a horrible decision on turn
I
1
played my game for that TTS league yesterday. I'm playing the Golden Horde Custodes list just because I wanted to give it a shot. So I got to introduce someone to the abject misery of playing against 30 Custodian Guard and a Warden squad.
I will say I really enjoy the list that you made in this. It was really good. I enjoyed watching every single Phoenix Lord just blow somebody away, just completely, just nonsensically, just watch the unit just die.
Oh, with the Eldar list?
Yeah, with the Eldar list. It was, I went first. I got really close, blew up Fuegan, his Wave Serpent, and Fuegan didn't get back up, and then
that's tough.
Managed to kill another Wave Serpent, another Warp Spider unit, and then most of his Whooping Hawk unit. And kind of just detonated a bunch of things on one corner and Still was a 10-10, but that's just because everything into everything else, and both of those are like the Eldar faction is good into itself. Is the key to remember there.
We'll chat a bit about it later when I do my like my Malmo breakdown, because I'm not going to do a review video for Malmo of kind of what the other mirror was like. But in my game against Yoka, we had my swooping hawks charged his void reavers, and I just like was like, just in case, spend the 6-inch poly consolidation strat. 5 guys piled into a unit of swooping hawks. Those swooping hawks punched 4 of mine to death, and I'm like, what is going on? Why are
Look,
we so fragile?
little did you remember that those Eldar punches are wounding the other Eldar on 4s.
I
and
used the
hitting
flip.
them on
I used the flip on a
3s.
wound roll to kill the void reavers. I
And
was like,
each
these guys are never activating again. Flip.
every single aspect warrior has 2 attacks at least. So it's very funny to watch them engage other garbage. Like a swooping hawk unit charged a ranger unit and killed all the rangers. And I was like, but that's okay. And all of the rangers were dead. And so I was very sad.
We had some big, like, the fire dragons units got 20 attacks. That's a couple dead banshees.
Yeah, like that is a unit that can fight at least a little bit. It's not going to be great, but it will do something in the mirror. But yeah, other than that, it's going pretty well.
We've got a couple super chats already, so let's take these before we get too far ahead. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Custodians list again before we go on. Need a 1k Spearhead tip list. Sabodin, Stormraven, and I would not play the Stormraven at 1,000 points. I'm not even sure I would necessarily play it at 2,000 points. It's super cool, but I don't think you have to have it, and at 1,000 points is definitely not the place. Sabodin and Storm, some Outriders, and then you're probably looking at wanting, like, I would probably do the Redeemer at 1,000 points has got to be messed up, right? Like, it just has to.
It's
Redeemer with at least one intercessor squad, probably like play a melee unit to go inside it, or like whether that's a captain with assault intercessors or assault centurions or whatever you like. I like the assault centurions. Ruben's list from the weekend was a really cool template for that. But we'll be talking more about spear tip later. So thank you, Tatters, for the £2. And to J. Martin, when can we expect your Dumfries World Eaters video? When I get around to it. I truly, truly have kept scheduling it on my calendar, and then my calendar has decided to auto implode. So I should have a time slot carved out for it this week, but I will do my best. We will see. All right. So just really quickly, Custodian Guard are pretty good at their new points value. Just being able to fit. So the list I've been playing for the TTS League is 1 Blade Champion with Panopta specs, 1 Warden Brick of 5 to go with him, 6 squads of 5 guard, all with shields, 2 Witch Seekers, 3 Prosecutors, Kyria, and a Calexis. And I think the version that I tweaked it around to was basically dropping the 1 guard and 1 Witch Seeker squad to add in an extra Blade Champion. I think that's kind of where I landed.
That's reasonable.
And that was... I like the idea. I like having the second Blade Champion and having that guy have Panopta specs in a guard squad rather than having Panopta specs in a Warden squad. It just doesn't feel as useful. But yeah, it was super fun. I played it into big Monster Mash Tyranids and just like shoved, and we just saw what happened, and I killed a Norn and 2.7 Maliceptors on my go turn, which felt pretty good. There's definitely a little bit of a hard roll in there, and just don't fill charges, right? But yeah, hilariously, the Norn failed the Battleshock test to the Witch Seekers.
Incredible.
Pretty funny. He just rolled a 1-1 and was like, "Oh, I'm battle shocked. I guess I can't commander roll this last save against the damage 3 Warden attack." And I played it in Shield Host for the crit 5s, just on all of the guards. Just crit 5 sustained, full wound rerolls. You're just out there just like living your best life, pumping damage, because your Warden squad's like they work. They're like they work in pairs, right? They're never on their own for Lions of the Emperor stuff. I could definitely see doing it in Talons for the more wound defense, and the reactive move. That'd be super cool too. But I like Shield Host. Shield Host having a fallback shooting charge is also super nice.
Yeah. I don't know.
Do recommend the people, if you're looking for a Custodians list, I think it's a ton of fun. I would really recommend it.
It is just so much meat that people will not be able to deal with it. Like, I don't know what some armies do into that large, because like what do you do if you can't efficiently kill a unit of guard? You're just kind of fucked. Like, is kind of the truth of it. Like, I look at the Eldar list, and like, I don't have rerolls in 90%.
15, Nathan.
I don't know, man. I think about the MSU Eldar list, and I'm like, that's really cool. I don't know what I do. I guess I dance around you forever.
I'm pretty sure it's what Scary lost to round one at LGT.
Yeah, you
Was
just
just like max custodian guard. They just walk out and they go everything double taps, remove your army
yeah,
against elves, which is kind of
yeah.
hilarious to me.
It's the perfect anti-elf. So if you just have elves in your local meta and you want to make them sad, just paint 30 custodian guard and you'll have fun.
It'll take 12 minutes.
Yeah, it'll take you 10 minutes. Put them in a bag with gold paint and then shake them in it with
Spray
like
them
some
silver,
other stuff.
spray them agrax, paint the swords blue, dab the eyes.
There, you're done. Easiest army ever.
Sounds like a great time.
So tell us
All right.
though more about your weekend, Ines, since I think your
So-
weekend was a little bit more involved than mine.
I have played two tournaments since we last spoke. I've been playing variations on the same Eldar list, which is very broadly, I've been playing 5 epic heroes and a bunch of Eldar bullshit. And which of the epic heroes has changed a little bit, but to really quickly run off the list, it is Fuegan and 10 Fire Dragons and a Wave Serpent, Osserman and 5 Dire Avengers in a Falcon, Janezar and 5 Howling Banshees, Lycus and 5 War Spiders, another 2 squads of War Spiders, 3 squads of Rangers, 1 squad of Void Reavers, 3 squads of Hawks, and a Partridge in a Pear Tree.
Yep.
And I think that's it. And then in one of the lists, I had Baharoth, which was I played for Malmo, and then which was the singles event. And for this weekend, I played a Solitaire instead, which is the extra epic hero. I gotta say, I like this list a lot. I've had I had the 1-9-11 loss into Bjorn, which was on stream. I had a 15-5 in the mirror, and then every other game has been a 16+. And that's felt pretty good. I would broadly describe the game plan as being press W with every unit until your opponent overwatches, and then hold down W for the rest of the turn. Second that turn 2 hits. Yeah, no, I think that's broadly it. And you're just like having the access to the double fire and fade, one with Osman and one with the fire dragons, along with the ability for the Rangers to walk out, threaten your opponent to have to put something in the middle, and then jumping back with the reactive move. If they do, just gives you so much agency for making your opponent engage with you that they kind of feel pressured into developing into you, at which point you then just go explosive with 15 Hawks, 15 Spiders, and the Dire Avengers and Osman and everything, right?
Yeah.
Lycus is just an incredibly messed up data sheet and should not work the way she does. I don't know how you fix it, but moving 26 and charging is not a value that should be allowed in Warhammer.
No.
I don't think I've ever played a game with Lycus where I came out back after and was like, that felt like a fair Lycus experience. Every single game has been like, wow, that was the stupidest thing I've ever seen in a game of Warhammer, and I played a Storm Raven last week. Yeah, it was really, 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 really good fun, right? Like, so the biggest concession that this list makes is that it's not playing any long range firepower. So there's no Dark Reapers is probably the biggest kind of like takeaway. I have not one single time missed having Dark Reapers. I don't think I've played a single game where I was like, oh man, if I had Dark Reapers, this game would have been easier. And I appreciate that Eldar are in a position right now where it feels like there are like a really, really solid like 2,600 points, and you curate the 600 points you like out of it more so than it feels like it's about, you know, there being a best version of the list. And I think that's a super healthy place. Like, I think internally within what's good, it's quite well balanced. Like, obviously there's a lot of terrible data sheets in Eldar, but like the scope of the things in Eldar that are good and playable, right? There's a bunch of stuff that is not in my list that is very good as well, which I think is a good place for, you know, within the realm of internal balance, suggest that it's a, you know, a fairly interesting book. But I have not one time played with Dark Reapers and been like, yeah, I really miss those. I played a bunch of games with Folger's List, kind of testing with the Warhost version. I've seen Vic VJ's version that he just came second at Coventry with the like Dark Reapers with Morgan Raw, whether they're in or out or a Falcon, just depending. But like Vic's playing like 5 Fire Dragons and Fuegan, playing for an anti-elite metagame and disappearing away from the combat stuff, getting away from the heavier vehicle matchups, which is definitely an interesting place to be, right? Like, there's lots of ability to be flexible, but I've enjoyed not having them. To really quickly run through my 2 events, I played against Chaos Demons in round 1 at Malmo, which I won 20-0 against like the 6 bigs list. In Terraform, I was able to go second and then Terraform all 3 objectives on turn 1, and I don't think one of them got on Terraform until turn 5. Just the sheer amount of activations into a big list with only 8 units made it really, really difficult. I also just like accidentally killed the 4 Full of Pain Grit and Clean one turn. I was just like, these 3 Fire Dragons are going to shoot him. Oh, he took 12 damage and he's already taken some mortal wounds, and I guess the Bright Lance killed him. It was very funny.
It's something that can definitely just happen with Fire Dragons, right? Because you get rerolls.
Yeah, like they were just like
somebody.
sustained, and they were just sustained and lethal because like 7 of them could see Be'lakor, who I was trying to kill, and the other 3 just had just that guy as a target, and they just happened to roll like a 6 to hit and wound with all of them. And it's just like, oh, I guess that guy's just not there anymore. That matchup is hilariously evil. Game 2, I played into Biosync deck in Purge the Foe, which has to be one of the saddest matchups I've ever played. I can't imagine playing a Gene List this bad into Eldar, but Biosync manages it. So yeah, my opponent was lovely, but he put a little bit too much stuff in reserve, and I just kind of full sent on turn 1. Lycus was tapping his home objective in Hammer and Anvil at the end of 1. Just off it, so I wasn't getting shot by the flamers. But she then got charged and didn't die, and then flipped it, and I full screened out his backfield so that his patriarch unit died in reserve. It was awful.
It seems like you have to be measured right with the reserves because of the MSU Eldar's ability to just.
He should have probably put nothing in reserve or just 5 guys. So that was good fun. Had a really good time there. Got to do my favorite trick, which is not my favorite trick to have happened to me, but disembarking into 9 of the Saboteur to shoot her, but being like, well, the Falcon was outside 9 when it moved here, and that Azerman is not within 9. It does not made a normal move, so I will just shoot you, and you will not blow the ball on me.
Sure.
So yeah, all of my opponents indirect died on turn 1, which was pretty rough. He lost both Red Runners as well.
The trickery, yeah.
This is what I was playing Baharoth with, which to quote the Goonhammer writers are very fond of saying, Innis will do anything for a grenade, and deep striking grenade in the movement phase is a pretty good place to be. And in this matchup, he dropped in and just one tapped a Red Runner by himself, which was pretty nice.
That's what you did.
Game 3, I played into Scintillating Legion, which was a super interesting game. I've seen Scintillating Legion popping up a bunch more. I know that Nicholas Fritzschen from the German team in Zugwan guys was playing it at Alpine. I know Justin Kerr's been playing it a bunch. And yeah, there was a few people playing it here this weekend. And this was Kairos Double Bird, one with the puppet, which was super cool. I really like the puppet. It's the use another unit's line of sight. So he stands behind a wall. You put 1 screamer within 9 of him, and then he picks a unit within 9 and any model in that unit. So you can take the screamer at the front of the squad to get line of sight, and you use his line of sight in range. So you're not actually indirecting. So you still hit on 2s, and you don't necessarily give them cover, which is super cool. And then you still have Kairos with the indirect on top of that, and then you have 1 other bird that's just kind of teleporting around playing tight angles. So you just get 3 birds shooting pretty repetitively. It's a super cool list with some really cool jank. I think my opponent didn't have any of the non-Zinch stuff, which I get is a concession that some people make, that they're just I'm just going to play, I'm playing Scintillating Legion, I'm going to play Zinch stuff.
Yeah,
I think if that list has 1 unit of Plague Bearers and 1 Beast of Nurgle, it's a completely different beast. Just being able to actually screen its backfield and having a bit of sticky is super valuable in that detachment.
I think that's been the when you've seen successful Scintillating Legion lists just around in the meta, they've always had a unit of 10 Plague Bearers around just to kind of provide an anchor for the entire army, because otherwise that army doesn't have a lot of
I've seen some people playing I've seen some versions of 3 bigs in Be'lakor as well, right? Going the full 4 version. I've seen I think 18 Screamers is just a great autofill right now. It just plays well, and the being able to teleport out of combat is just a really, really powerful ability. But Flamers just consistently underwhelm me. So
yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah. So I ended up winning that game 18-2. The first 2 were 20-0. Game 3, I played Yoka from Team Iceland on his Eldar mirror match. I've got to be honest, I know I'm playing Eldar, and I'm going to sound like I'm being very big-headed with this. I'm not an Eldar player, right? I am not someone who has dedicated a ton of time to playing Eldar reps. This was, event 1 of Aspect Host. I did not come into this with a ton of experience playing Aspect Host. I am aware that there was a ton of matchup theory for the Eldar mirror match about where you put your stuff and how you avoid Lycus. I don't know any of that stuff. I just put my shit down and hope for the best. Truly, I did. I literally was just I'm going to put it here, and if Lycus will do something, and I'll respond to it once he does. And that was very much my approach. Now, was that correct? I don't think so, but it worked. So,
I mean, that's essentially what I also did. I was I don't think there's a good way to ignore any of the things in this army that kill me back. So I'm just going to put them in places that I think if I go first, I can hammer my opponent in the teeth a bunch, and then hope it works out.
Very much more aggressively than Yoga did. Which, to some degrees backfired. My wave servant went down before his did. So he was able to measure in such a way that mine couldn't reach his with a max star engines, because I would have to pivot and he wouldn't, kind of stuff, which is okay, yeah, cool. That's really, really cool tech, right? Looking at the ability to, I can disembark and shoot you without this. I can shoot you without having to pivot. You can't shoot me without pivoting. So I can start just get to you on a bit on like a 3+ roll. You would need to roll a 5 to get to me and kind of stuff like that,
Right.
which is super awesome, right? I think it was really interesting. But I had deployed all my stuff a lot more aggressively than he had, and he had trouble Dark Reapers with the indirect, which he had put very far at the back. So I felt a little pressure into playing more aggressively because he has a bunch more stuff than I do in that sense, right? He's got the extra indirect. I have 2 extra Phoenix Lords, so he's got a bit more stuff on the ground than I do as well. But this game kind of came down to he popped his Fire Dragon transport first way forward to pop my Falcon with the Fire and Fade in it, because that's one of the really good pieces in the mirror. It's very good at like cleaning up 2 or 3 Eldar units at a time. So he popped the Falcon. It was also a mark for death target, but I was able to then in response get an angle on his that I could kill it, and then also have a bunch of stuff ready waiting for where he got out to then kill all of the contents except Huygen, who I killed his first life, and then he stood back up, but he was then stranded on his side. He then failed a 6-inch rollable charge into Baharoth, because I reactive moved. I was 2 inches away from him, reactive moved 4 away, and he failed the charge. I was like, oh, cool. And then Baharoth teleported to his backfield and killed 7 Banshees from his squad of 10, and it kind of, the game cascaded from there. Baharoth felt very, very good in the mirror, and Banshees felt completely useless, which was nice. His Banshees charged my Wave Serpent and some Corsairs. Good for them. My Banshees, like 5 of them died. 5 of them died to War Spiders, and then Janezar just ran around the midfield for the entire game, doing the same damage a Banshee squad would have.
It honestly feels like 2 units. The 2 units of Banshees kind of rotate around each other, like waiting to see who dies to an ancillary unit, and then the Banshees can do something, but that never happens.
No, I just let his charge me. It would felt. I was just like, it'll be fine. But yeah, this was one of those games where like the Swooping Hawks were punching each other to death and everything like that, which is quite funny. And then game 5, I played on stream. This was on Board Report. So if you want to watch the stream game back, it was a really fun game with Björn Eriksson from the Swedish team, who is obviously not Pairings Princess Tour at all. And I am required legally to say that as a result of losing this game. Björn simply just plays through the tough games like a man. This was on custom terrain. It was it's the Dutch tabletop terrain, I believe it is. It was interesting. We did a bit of a review on it stream a couple weeks ago. If you want to flick back, you can probably find that in the 3 weeks ago episode before the submission. So it was very kind of analogous. I would say it's kind of like a mix between UKTC and WTC is kind of how it would be closest. There's a lot of big ruins, but a lot of big ruins and quite dense, but very open side objectives, much like UKTC. I'd say like in general, your side objective was more exposed than not. So yeah, the biggest thing with this stream game that I would say, I'm actually just going to pull up the stream game. I think that's an easy way to just kind of quickly chat through a couple of key points, because I think that's fun. Nathan, chatter for a minute.
Sure. I mean, I don't know. I really enjoy the MSU army because I also think just having 3 units of Rangers lets you do funny things to your opponent. But if you can get the infiltration space, because that unit can retreat its ass to safety if it needs to at like a moment's notice.
Oh no, it can roll a 1 on that. It can threaten to and then roll a 1.
Yeah, it can threaten to and then roll a 1, but it can also just like completely blitz away. But it's also at the end of the day, I found a single Ranger like being left from that unit is a hilarious problem for an opponent to have to deal with, because it just runs off and does shit for the rest of the game. It's like, why don't I just run over that way and I can get engaged, or I run over that way and I can do an action over there, or run over that way and I can hide. Yes, Seth, I don't know what I hate more either, me on Eldari or Nathan on Drukhari. I like both. But I'm going to switch over to Drukhari pretty soon, and I'm going to try a bunch of stuff, and so I can make you have PTSD all over again for Drazar murdering piles of things, even though Drazar doesn't do that anymore. Drazar is a pretty magnanimous, I charge and nothing dies kind of guy now.
Okay, so here's the stream game. So yeah, really simple ideas. So we had like this really big.
I will be.
Okay, so we had like this. Oh, fuck off. Truly, I love YouTube interfaces. So we had this really big ruin at the top left that was kind of like the only place that the Wave Serpent could reasonably hide. I end up having like the Wave Serpent deployed in this corner, where if I go first, it can stage into this building and sit pretty reasonably safely, and I can kind of control the middle lines. And if I go second, it'll kind of sit up here, it'll kind of try to poke a prod around this way, see the middle, clear this objective a little bit, and kind of do that. I end up going second, and it gets stuck up here, which is really awkward. It just kind of has to like dance in and out. And then this objective, there's just this straight, clean line right down the middle here, where anything that's on this objective is just in the open. So I felt really pressured into pushing quite aggressively into Bjorn. And then he's got a very, like, because I have none of that long range firepower, and honestly, any that I did have just kind of not going to do anything. I get kind of pressured into like not having a great way to keep him off this expansion objective without just throwing kind of good material after bad, right? So you can see you've got the wave serpent up here, ready to push around the sides, right? And I don't have a great way to get onto this objective. Bjorn turn one like kind of pushes this carnivore up, and then we just kind of end up in this trading pattern of he has this one knight in the middle that I keep having to just throw material at to tag up. I'm able to rapid ingress my Falcon onto this objective to get like one ticket primary and kind of just like keep pinning him over in this corner and stopping him getting out. Unfortunately, like so this is the turn one push. The Leica squad goes up here to kill the carnivore, but the Jane Jar squad doesn't quite kill enough of these guys to block these guys from going up the way to getting the line onto Leicas and friends. So they just kind of die here a little bit. And then I don't quite kill these plague bearers, which then means they develop into the middle. They end up doing a bunch of secondaries. I got killed 7 of them. Made a small mistake. I think Bahar should have just shot these guys and tried to kill a couple of them to make this a little more reliable kill. I don't think I needed the help into this carnivore. But if I had not killed it, it would have been catastrophic. So there's like, there's some interesting questions there. And then this Hawk squad also ends up dying because there's just like this guy walks 13 inches back the way and just sees on this angle, or 10 inches back the way and just sees this angle, which kind of sucks. This guy then walks onto this objective and he just kind of sits controlling this massive firing lane state where the one big knight at the bottom corner can just see everything, and then the one at his home objective can see the rest. And I just don't have a great way to get back into it. I keep having to go for like some risky plays and pushing across, and eventually, like I get a little lucky. The wave serpent, I develop it over the top, go for the kill into this big guy at long range, pick it up, and then he's able to get this one moving 13 inches, tap it from here, taps onto this to see the serpent, doesn't quite kill it. I reactive move the wave serpent closer to the other one. This one would just walk this way to see it. It then kills it. I drop out outside 12, walk forward, shoot it to death, and then charge the other one. And then I tag it there, but then I make a mistake on my casualty removal. Basically, this objective was stickied, and I had the Fuegan squad after I charged in. Let me see if I can find the actual position, because it's kind of an interesting point, and I think that's worth remembering if you're playing like against sticky objectives. So basically, I have the squad like this developed out, and I'm tapping this objective, and I had a guy in combat here, but because I want to have Fuegan on this objective to stand back up if he dies when he gets shot, and I want to be able to res onto this objective and make sure that I can do any like stand up back up secondaries and do them here. I end up pulling myself out of combat because the guy kills 3 guys. But what I should have done is just left one guy in combat here, and then had like these 2 guys here die, kept this big knight in combat, and then at the end of the turn, I do the sequencing so that I unsticky the objective, and then I die to coherency. I think that's how that works, and then I should be able to keep him in combat and then stop him because he ends up just falling back on his objective to get his extend battle lines and then also shooting me. And I could have dropped that by 2 points to put the game a little closer. The game ends up coming down to if I can kill this guy for blocking his burn on turn 5, and Fuegan rolls a 2 into a 2 and doesn't win him in melee range, and it was heartbreaking.
Brutal.
Yeah, it's kind of sucky. We also had like a little bit of an awkward thing this game where just one of those things of like playing on stream, we didn't catch Bjorn's defend stronghold points on turn 2, I think it was. So we hadn't added them to the score. And then we were kind of going through the motions on turn 5 and being like, okay, all I need to do is, I don't have to do anything. The game is a draw, whatever happens, right? I got my points. So, but then we realized that because he won by exactly 5, which is a 10-10. But then we realized, like, after we had shaken hands and stuff, that, oh no, he actually had 3 more points in defense struggled. So we had to kind of like try to rewind my turn a little bit to find a way for me to like have a look at it, which I don't know if we got perfect, right? Like it's one of those things where we had an hour and 5 minutes. I would have spent a lot of time thinking about how do I best optimize this, and instead we didn't, which is one of those things of just missing that 3 points of defense stronghold just changed the outcome of the game, which kind of sucks. But Bjorn ended up winning the game. He ended up winning the tournament, which was super awesome. So very well played to him. But I did get a prize for coming 4th because there is a curse in Sweden for coming 4th, and I'm gonna butcher the team name, but I believe it's Xenofilerna, who are the team that's known for coming 4th, and then Bjorn is a player of that team, so he broke the curse. But there was a prize of coming 4th, which was this goose, and I don't really know
understand
why it's a goose. I'm not worrying about it.
Like a goose egg means to score 0s, so I don't know. Like that's what it means.
I don't know. So anyway, this is Bjorn. This is Bjorn the goose. And do you know what? It's one of my favorite trophies I've ever received. So
that is a great trophy. I won't lie. That is just a great novel trophy.
I'm considering like replacing some amount of trophies at events I run with plushes because, frankly,
Why not?
this is way better. This would made my flight back way better because I was just able to sleep on it.
You got to sleep on the goose. Oh boy, this is how Innes ends up collecting just like an entire bed worth of plush toys that he
Well, I've got
sleeps on.
my my Build-A-Bear on the corner there from when I was like 10 years old. He
I
sits there and
mean,
he holds my headphones now.
fair enough. I mean, reasonable and fair. I get it.
What other headphones do? So yeah, that was that event. So I had really good time in Sweden. Malmo was a great event. I highly recommend it, especially if you're looking to fly out. Getting to Copenhagen is super easy, and then it's like a 20-minute train to where the event was in Healy. And it's like right in Malmo, like in a hotel that's on a main square with like all the food options you can want, and like 4 other hotels in walking distance. So if you're looking for an event to do in Sweden, I would strongly recommend it. It was a great time. And then we went, like me and my sister went and spent the day in Copenhagen and went to the Lego store and did custom Lego minifigures for me and my family and all that kind of stuff. It was a great time. Had Texas barbecue in Copenhagen, which was funny.
That's weird. I don't know what to think about that. I mean, I'm sure it was fine, but it's very funny to hear.
And then this weekend, so I had like 20 minutes to think of list changes. So I ended up changing out Baharoth for a solitaire, with the idea being that I wanted the ability to play into like armies like Chaos Knights on a lighter table and be able to attack into them on in a WTC format event. So I went with changing out the Baharoth, who's very good at like breaking open mirror matches and things like that, right? Killing all those squishy armies, for a tool that's just, okay, I can hold my side objective against guns. And that came up a couple games, especially when we game playing in Star Shatter. So we ended up coming second place at this event with Team Selkies. For anyone who doesn't know, a Selkie is basically, because someone asked in the chat earlier, a Selkie is basically the seal version of a mermaid, but a little different. But more or less, that's what a Selkie is.
Okay.
So we were Team Selkies, Kelpies, and Nessie, naming ourselves after Scottish mythological creatures because we're adults like that. And we were 4-0. We were the only 4-0 team at the end of 5 rounds, but we did unfortunately lose our last round against the third English team. We beat the other 2, but couldn't quite close the deal. So we did finish second of 11, which was pretty great. What are you laughing at?
You can beat 2 English teams, but you can't beat the third English team.
No, the third was too much.
3 is a lot of English teams in a row to fight. Yes,
3 was tough. So round 1, I played against Grey Knights Wartbane, which is great fun. I know that army quite well. So I was able to the crow unit didn't activate till turn 5, which was nice. I was able to just keep it in a box and stop it from doing anything until turn 5. Got the good old supply drop going second, and my objective disappeared first, which in tipping point. So did manage to keep it to a 16, which was the lowest score of the weekend. Game 2, I played into Star Shatter, Triple Doomsday Arc, and I got a 20-0 in this game. This was one of those ones where Lycus moving 26 was just messed up. She like jumped over the Silent King, put him in the OK Corral so he couldn't react to move away, shot him for crit 5s, and then the Fuigen Brick killed him at long range.
Look, you don't get to leave, and that guy over there is going to shoot you real hard.
You can go forward into Melta range if you would like. Unfortunately,
that will be worse.
And then, but only Lycus shot the king. The other 4 shot Scorpec Lord, which dropped him to 1. Which I then charged with the Power Blades guy, charged Lycus into a separate squad, killed both, and then 6-inch consolidated into a Doomsday Arc.
God damn it. You're gonna get fucking Lycus nerfed immediately.
I'm trying.
I don't want you to try and stop trying.
I think that game I killed all 3 Scorpec Lords without any of them resolving an attack, which was pretty rough.
Amazing. I love it.
Yeah. So that was a 20-0. Game 3, I played into Sean. We had a team kill against Team Scotland. So we played against Team Nessie. I played against Sean McLeod, who I had played a practice game with on the Friday, which I won 16-4 with the same sab. I went first in supply drop with my objective disappearing and got a 16. In this one, I went second on take and hold, and this was an 18. It was much better for that.
There you go.
We played on one of those like awkward hammer and anvil boards though, where like on WTC where just all 3 objectives are just kind of in the open. So I just had to sit in front of 3 predators and 2 noise marine squads and just get shot off of a couple times. So I wasn't able to push a massive primary differential, but was able to score all my points. Game 4, I played against Matt Bell, the current LGT Invitational champion, because everyone else had to drop from it. Don't worry about that. Of the Command Protocols podcast on his Adeptus Mechanicus. And in this game, I got to use the wonderful, wonderful rule of you could, of the WT's ruins, have a nice big top floor that warp spiders fit on, and 40mm bases don't. So I was able to jump my warp spiders from one building to another, shoot down, and he couldn't charge me because every model in his army was on a 40mm base, so they couldn't come up the ruins to get within engagement range of me. So he had to just leave them there.
That is the most gamification I've ever heard in my entire life. Look, your bases are too big to engage me up here on the second floor of this building. So stay down there. Third floor. Sorry, third floor. So you guys got to stay on the. You guys can't come up here to fight me. So
yeah, so I flew over, shot 5 of them to death, and then he moved, and I overwatched another 3.5 of them to death.
Fuck. Did you get plunging fire out of that too?
I did, but I'm AP1 and he's 4 armor. I have him vulnerable save, so it didn't matter. But
you know what? It's still what you want to do. It's just what
this was one of those games where just like Fuegan took a like ridiculous toll. Turn 1, he killed a bolt and 2 of the Iron Striders. Turn 2, he killed 7 guys and a chicken and another bolt. Turn 3, he killed a bolt and call. Turn 4, he killed two chickens and a 2 chickens and half a squad. And it's just like, I think he killed like 900 points. It was absurd.
I hate everything about what you just said, but that's okay.
Yeah. This is one of those ones where like I feel like the Adeptus Mechanicus Eldar game just kind of like teeters on a knife's edge until it goes completely to one side. And this is one of those games where the blowout turn was just a little too much. Like the turn where Jane's goes max distance through the middle, Lycus goes max distance through the middle, Jane's charges the thing, Lycus charges the thing, but can't really base it. So Lycus kind of orbits around the side of it, and then 6-inch paladins into the end of the squad that he just charged, and then 6-inch consolidates into the unit on your opponent's home objective. Yeah. And he was on my home objective at the start of this turn, obviously. So Lycus just moved like 45 to 60, 45 to 48 inches.
I think that's like is one of those things where the same thing is true from when we were talking about the Eldar mirror. All of the weapons in an Eldar army are just like tuned to murder the shit out of another T3 army, and most of the AdMech army is just like at that point.
It's not even necessarily the toughness, because like they are T4 2 wounds on a lot of their stuff. It's the fact that they're only 4 armor safe.
That's really what it is.
It just means that like everything just shreds. Like the warp spiders just do 50% more damage than you're used to. The swooping hawk damage really adds up. Fuegan's melter profile is kind of nasty. Just one of those really awkward games. It was a Skitarii Hunter cohort for what it's worth. So it was like 20 of the Fire and Fade sterilizers and 4 Iron Striders, and then like a shit ton of Rust Stalkers and Infiltrators, and then the Fire and Fading Ranger Squad or Vanguard Squad, Fire and Fading Vanguard Squad with the Marshal with full rerolls, which was super cool tech. Call died. Call got one shot by Fuegan as well, which was unpleasant.
You got to keep track one day so we can add things to Fuegan's base, just like for every.
I could probably go through and count all the points that Fuegan killed that game. Or this event. I think across my 10 tournament games with Fuegan, he has probably killed. Well, I played against an average of 2,000 points a game. I think I've left like 10 models alive total in 5 games. I tabled my round 1 opponent, tabled my round 2 opponent. Right, so at this event, I left 1 Dread Knight alive in 5 games. Everyone else I tabled. And at Malmo, I left 1 Big Knight and 1 Beast of Nurgle alive against Bjorn. And I think I tabled everyone else. So I think I've left 3 models alive in 10 games.
Nice.
And I think, conservatively, Fuegan's killed 40% of that. Maybe a little more. Maybe 50.
Fuegan, the hero the Eldar Union always needed.
It is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I left like a unit alive here and there. I think technically I never killed Yokit's last 5 Dark Reapers because we just drew secondaries at each other. But I did have Fuegan on his home objective, so it's entirely possible that they died because they were in combat with Fuegan. So yeah, it's a pretty good army. And my final game, I played against James from the Last England team, who was playing Gazgul and 20 with a Pain Boy, a battle wagon full of stuff, and a bunch of other stuff. And I got the good old turn 2. I was move blocking him, like getting ready to like stop his wah. Be like, I'm just gonna like put these 2 Rangers here to block you from going through this gap, and these 5 Hawks here, and these 5 Spiders here. And then I looked at the 5 Spider, I was like, they can just see the boys. What if instead of move blocking, halfway through my movement phase, after using a bunch of stuff to move block, I just all-in him? So then I just all-ined him,
Yeah.
and I killed Gaz and the 20-man, and the battle wagon, and all of its contents, and had Lycus on his home objective.
That's how life works. That is the Eldar Union life.
Yeah, it was. He failed like 3 of his. He failed like 3 7-ups or 3 of his 2-ups on his 7 breaker boys when they got out. So like 1.5 of them died, and then the hawk, like 1.5, like the hawk sergeant and 1 hawk could see him and killed 2 more. So it put him down to like 3 guys in the boss knob, and then the wave serpent killed the 3 breaker boys and the war boss. Because I hit 3 times and wounded 3 times with the shuriken, and he triple won his saves, and then I hit and wounded with the bright lance. He failed the 5 of invulnerable save, and then took 8 damage from the bright lance and died.
So mean. God damn.
Like, what the fuck just happened?
That is math. I definitely did during my most recent game act like 4 fucking fire dragons broke ankles getting out of a wave serpent when they died. I was like, here's 11 dice and 4 ones. Amazing.
My game against Matt, I rolled 4 ones on my Dire Avengers and Asperman getting out.
Mm-hmm.
You're like 6 guys, 4 failed 2-ups. I'm just like, yeah, okay. I've had enough war spiders not take damage that I don't feel bad about this. But sometimes you just have those turns where you're like, I felt like 7 of my 2-ups on these war spiders.
Oh yeah, I mean, on my last, at the bottom of turn 4, the Falcon died and then blew up, and Janzar was within 6 inches on 2 moons left, and there was a squad of like 2 guys over on a different point, and I was like, "Oh, this isn't good," and rolled a 1 on both units, and they just kind of just stayed alive, and I was like, "Fuck."
There's nothing scarier than a 1 wound Phoenix Lord you don't have a way to activate at, because you just know it's getting another. You just know that guy's no overwatching.
Yeah, I was like, I probably should just no overwatch this unit just forever, because that unit of 5 Rangers right there might just overwatch if you have the CP for it, to see if you just skip and like murder fucking Janzar off the table. I don't know. Yeah. Explosions.
So ended on 92 victory points, which was the I think I was the high scorer for the tournament, which was which was good fun. It's easy to do that when you're pairing for yourself, obviously.
True. You get to be your own pairings princess.
Yeah, I had a really, really good time. The team performed really well. I was very, very happy with everyone. We had a really good round. I'll give a special shout out to poor Aaron, who we threw under the directly into the Nassim and Andy Koskoen bus. So he played like 2 of the 10 best players in the UK in like almost back-to-back games. We're just like, hey Aaron, go and lose to this so that no one else has to play them.
Try to get some points on the way if you can, as well. By the
way, stand vol on the points. But he did a fantastic job, and so did everybody on the team. So yeah, massive shout out to the rest of the guys, and also all the Team Scotland guys for coming down. It was great to have 3 squads show up to the event and just put in a really good shift to the office.
Nice.
All right. Do I have anything else I want to chat about from that? Solitaire was fine. Could definitely have been a death jester, and I wouldn't have noticed too much. Every time I tried to use the Solitaire as a damage piece, she definitely didn't fucking do anything. But she was really good at being a second, like, little heroic-y thing, where you're just like, your opponent just didn't want to engage where she was sitting, and she could sit on like the second floor of a ruin in heroic and not take up space for some other stuff, which was nice. So I didn't hate her. I think she'd still make the cut. She made the like ability for me to attack into Chaos Knights much better, which I think was really important.
It is nice also just having a lone out piece, right? Just
exactly. Especially if I was playing on like GW terrain, I would feel much better about having a lone operative for layout 1 or layout 6. Yeah. So yeah, that's been my Eldar experiences. Army's fun. I'm not taking it to Worlds, but Army is fun.
What are you taking to Worlds, Innes? Come on.
So I am taking Creations of Bile to Worlds.
What? What the fuck did you just say, Innes?
I'm taking Creations of Bile to Worlds. I sent Anthony a message being like, "Hey, I'm thinking about taking Xenocrete to Worlds. What do you think?" And he said, "I think that sounds fucking stupid. You should take Bile." And I said, "Okay." And then he sent me a list, and I submitted it.
I don't know how to process this. I really don't, Innes.
I changed one thing. I changed out the 2 Wardog Stalkers for Squad of Warp Talons.
You know what? This is your life. You get to live it. If you had told me 20 minutes ago or 45 minutes ago, I guess now since we're 45 minutes into the show, that you were taking Creations of Bile into Worlds, I was going to tell you that you were lying to me on purpose to troll me. But I guess, why are we taking Creations of Bile? I think that's really what's important.
Because Anthony wrote it.
Oh, so we're just doing whatever Anthony tells us to now.
It worked for LGT, baby.
I guess, do you just need to get higher placement than Scary and one other
Folger,
person
I think.
and Folger to win?
Pretty much. I need to place equivalently to them because I'm a couple points. I'm like 12 points clear of both of them.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, yeah. I'm playing. Let's go from the top. Let's see if
Let's
I can remember
talk
it all.
about it.
I'm playing Bile and 10 Chosen, Prime Test Subject Lord and 5 Chosen, 2 Legionnaire squads, 2 Noise Marine squads, Nemesis Claw, 10 Warp Talons, 4 Rhinos, a Beast of Nurgle, and a Nurgling squad.
I mean, that sounds really good.
I think that's the entire list.
Yeah.
My basic premise was there's no fucking terrain on these boards, so I'm gonna bring my own. So I just brought
and the
rhinos.
terrain's gonna be a rhino. Yeah, I get it.
Gonna be rhinos.
The terrain's
you know what?
gonna be rhinos.
Do you know what the best chaff in the Chaos Space Marine army is? Rhinos.
A rhino.
Oh, there's a cultist squad in there as well, I think. I don't know if I said that.
That's for screening out your backfield, though.
Noise Marines are good. Rhinos are good. Warp Talons feel really strong in the current meta game. And anti-tanks for cowards.
Melee is anti-tank, right? With the Chosen, that's your anti-tank.
Exactly. Melee's the anti-tank. Prime Test Subject Lord is anti-tank.
Grenades.
Lethal Hits is anti-tank.
Are Warp Talons twin-linked?
Yes.
That can be an anti-tank if you need it to be.
And if you hit plus strength, they're strength 6, so they wound strength toughness 10 vehicles on 5s with twin link. That's anti-tank.
It's fine. Everything's fine. Everything will be fine.
I feel pretty good about the list. I feel pretty solid into the wider meta game. I think there's a lot of things that I'm like. There's not a lot of things that I think I look at and I'm like, I don't have a way to play through that game. Which was kind of what I was looking at going into, right? I felt really bad. So, like, to kind of run through the reasons I didn't take the other armies I've been thinking about, every time I tried deploying Ultramarines Gladius or Ultramarine Stormraven on the GW boards, I had a minor panic attack that I would go second against Taiwan and just lose the game. So I decided to not do that. Every time I thought about playing an Eldar mirror match against somebody who had more reps into it, again, I was like, I really just don't want to be the guy on the receiving end of that. So I decided not to. And then every time I thought about playing Genestealer Cult, I imagined playing Genestealer Cult in 2025, and I was like, no, I'm not going to do that either. So I just didn't. So then I submitted Bile.
Look, all I heard was a bunch of totally reasonable takes that hurt my brain to try to.
I also don't like playing Shadowmark. I don't find it very fun. I don't have enough reps on Emperor's Children, and I didn't want to borrow someone's AdMech army to fly to Atlanta with because I'm only taking hand luggage, and that seemed like a really good way to break someone's army that I also didn't have a ton of reps with. I'm happy with Chaos Space Marines. I've played them a ton. We know they're good in the meta game right now because they just won LGT. I know it with Liam, but it's not just Liam. It's also just Chaos Space Marines being good. And I like the place the balls at.
I have faith that you're making a correct decision.
And NIDs are not an army unless you want to play Swarm, and I didn't really want to do that.
I agree with the no anti-tank as long as we don't play.
What are you playing, Seth?
I mean, Seth is surely playing Orcs.
Shadowmark is fun, but I don't enjoy it. I think that's how I would describe it.
And if you're going to go across the world and play like 9 rounds of 40k ostensibly, right, you want to play something that you're at least going to enjoy.
Yeah, like the Shadowmark play pattern to me is just so awkward, and I feel like I have so little space to be better than to be like as good as someone on it, right? So like if I play against somebody who's played the Shadowmark rep, right? It's just such a targeted army right now that I don't feel like going into the event playing Shadowmark and just being like, I'm going to just be the best Shadowmark player in the world was feasible for me. I didn't think I was going to be the guy that was the best Shadowmark player with the prep that I had and having already not enjoyed it. I wasn't going to enjoy putting the practice time in on it. I think Warp Talons are a messed up data sheet, and I've been saying that since they dropped. And I really, really appreciate the ability to just go and take them and just try to push people in. I think that's a powerful place to be. And I wanted a good Eldar matchup. That was the thing that I really cared about for this event.
I think having 10
Warp Talons really, really fucking helps with that.
100%. That will solve a lot of Eldar-related problems and Elf-related problems, and maybe Drukhari problems.
And weird that Folger and Scary are the two people that I'm most worried about for points.
Weird.
And they're both Elf players.
Nonsense takes.
Couldn't imagine why I would be thinking about Elves a lot right now. So that's why I went with Creations of Bile. I'm not convinced it's the only good choice, but I think it was one of the best choices I could have made. The other options I was trying to consider was blocking AdMech. And like I said, I just didn't want to be. I don't want to go into it as another AdMech player with everybody kind of knowing AdMech is busted and wanting to target it. So I decided to just opt out of that entirely and play something people were probably not going to have on the radar as much. I think the Brewers advantage is always pretty good at an event like this.
I mean, it's not about taking the best army necessarily, but taking the best army for you.
No,
to
and the
play,
meta
right?
is so flat right now that you can just like, I'd like to think I'm pretty good at Warhammer. I'm just going to try to play through my problems rather than trying to list build for them. Play an army that's got flexibility and technology to play any given game, and then just do that and just do it a little better and try to win that way.
Do we want to talk about ultramarines?
Do we want to talk about sisters first, since we named the episode after it?
I mean,
we have a decent bunch to cover this week.
I think it's very funny to not talk about sisters, but we should talk about sisters.
We should talk about sisters. So, do you want to start by just talking about? So, I saw the stats on Reddit as everyone else did, right? So, the sisters had a 63% win rate this week. I think it was from the Reddit post.
Yeah. So, I mean, we can go over the last few weeks of data. So, as an advertisement, you all should go do this. Is you should go check out Art of War Down Under, where Jeremy and I don't know if this is live yet, actually, so maybe I won't talk about it that much. Jeremy and I just recorded something with Adam Camilleri for Art of War Down Under, where we go over the stats kind of and tier everything again using stats.
Mm-hmm.
And sisters are like a fringe of S tier army in those stats. That doesn't include this last weekend. So I am not surprised to see them doing extremely well. In the numbers that we pulled together,
I saw David Gaylord speaking about that his last 3 rounds in a row at the Coventry 8-rounder were just 3 rounds against Halibars in a row. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure Bringers of Flame won the event.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. It's the interesting thing to me is that if you look at the detachment data for that army, is that there are 3 extremely solid options for sisters when it comes to detachments. They've won events across multiple detachments and performed extremely well by win rate and overrep in those. So like Bringers of Flame in our data set has an event win and has a 50% win rate and a 2% overrep, or a 2.07 overrep and a 17% 4-0 event start.
Crazy work.
Hallowed Martyrs has a 58% win rate. And this is data that hasn't been updated for this most recent week where everything has done even very better.
Well.
Yeah. And they had a 23% 4-0 win rate, like 4-0 event start for Hallowed Martyrs, and a 21% 4-0 event start for Champions of Faith. Those are astronomical numbers. You'd normally expect them to be more around like the 6 to kind of like 7% range for the most part. You don't expect it to be
the expected value is
the
50% lose round 1, 50%, so 25% of lost or gained by round 2, then 12.5%, then 6.25%. So 6.25% of players on average should go 4-0. So anything of a given faction. So anything above 6.25, you should expect to be above average numbers. 17 is almost 3 times higher than expected value for 4-0s.
Yep, and Hallowed Martyrs and Champions of Faith are almost at 4 times. So that's kind of what you're looking at. Is that army is extremely powerful, statistically speaking.
Now you always have the experts philosophy here, right? Where sisters are a faction that has been kind of underpowered for a while and are only just now being explored again. So only the particularly dedicated pilots are really taking them and doing well with them, right? We see players like Jack Tite, who's a very long-term sisters player, Kian Tan and Mitch Beard were the people that Coventry that I saw doing well, as well as a few others. But like, none of these guys are none of these people are novice sisters players, right? These are experienced and active and pushing the ball. I think the biggest thing that's kind of popped up recently is that it's goddamn sanctifiers. Man, that data sheet is messed up good. Why does it have 8d6 flamer shots, 2d6 of which are a damage 2 on a potentially assault profile with scout? Watching the stuff that data sheet was doing for Jack Tite in like the finals game for Coventry, or even just like my teammate Aaron playing with it this weekend in Bringers of Flame, it is holy crap a messed up unit.
Yeah, I mean, and you
can also reses models.
I'm going to be honest. I don't even think sisters are particularly underrepresented at the moment. They are at a 3% event representation, which is pretty close to standard. Like,
we expect every faction
AdMech sisters.
Yeah, we have 26 factions in the game, so 4% is the expected value. But Space Marines absorb such a huge percent of that everybody gets knocked down a bit. 3% is about normal representation, right?
Yeah, and 3% is pretty normal. That's the same a number as Chaos Space Marines, right? There are a few more players in the Chaos Space Marines than them, but not like a huge number. It's like 14 more players in that data set. So I wouldn't be too like people will say they're underrepresented, and they have been historically, but sisters very easily can come back. They were at one point much more represented when they were doing really well with Bringers of Flame. A lot of people who have a like strong competitive background have sisters armies at this point that they can like now bring out and
I
utilize them
own a
again.
squad of Sanctifiers.
Yeah, and Sanctifiers are great. And it's interesting to see a kill team data sheet break the game in half. That's fun. Always fun to see that happen.
Never happens.
You know. And I guess what though detachment are you really worried about seeing, and what
I
one
think
Coventry?
in general, I'm most worried about Bringers because advanced shooting Vol controls my soul. Every time I think about it, I'm just like, advanced shooting Vol is the thing I'm the most scared of. I do, however, acknowledge that Hallowed is a messed up anti-melee faction. And it has a lot of really good control tools, and I think the Hallowed is also very strong. It's also got some really cool technology with like the reroll hits and wound stratagem, the making you fight this canoness with the 12 invulnerable save and all that kind of stuff is really, really powerful. But I think the most powerful thing to me is like advanced shooting Vol and advanced shooting Vol and advanced shooting Sanctifiers just seems like the strongest part. And Retributors are also really, really, really good right now.
Yep. Yeah, because I'm like pulling up the Sanctifier sheet just because I'm curious because I haven't looked at it in a while.
So you end up being like, it's like a 9 model squad of which 7 of them have hand flamers, or like 6 of them have hand flamers, but one of them has 2 hand flamers, and then 2 of them have the Holy Fire, which is a one-shot hand flamer, basically.
The one that's 612, yeah.
Yeah,
612
612 once per
inches,
game.
one shot. Yep. Ignore
so you end up with like, it's a 9 model squad. The Miraculous has the Holy Fire, which is the damage 2. You have the Salvationist, who brings back D3 models. You have the Death Cult Assassin, who makes you kind of okay in combat, right? It's 4 attacks at 4-2-1 precision, which, can be annoying into the right profile. You've got one missionary with a plasma gun who gets a Holy Fire for some reason. You've got one guy with a hand flamer, and then you've got 4 regular guys with a hand flamer. And then you can swap one melee weapon for another hand flamer, and yeah, that's about it. And then you can have a simulacrum if you want instead of the you can have the simulacrum Imperialis as well for the
it's not like they're bad
like,
in melee combat,
roll of
like
four.
even slightly. They have sustained in melee and stuff like that. So it's kind of
You need to have a Ministorum Priest for that, I'm pretty sure, which you don't normally do.
You do need to have Ministorum Priest to do that, but you can give them sustained, and they have the Burning Hands, which is 623 dev. Like it's only a couple of
you get like one guy, and you can use a miracle dice on that to like guarantee 3 damage on a target and things like that, right? Like it's not a bad place to be, right? They're not incredibly good in combat, but they are Scout 6. They can go in a transport. You can get them, they can advance, they can auto advance 6, right? They just do a ton of stuff.
They do a ton
and
of
we've
stuff
seen
really
stuff like Astrud Thurga in a Retributor squad to give them devastating wounds. We've seen the dialogue is to have a guaranteed flip 6, right? Like that's the stuff that Jack Type is playing. Like Jack's not even playing any Castigators. Which is crazy work, right, in a general sense. But like Immolators, Dominions, and Retributors and Sanctifiers do all the damage you need plus Vol. So no, I think Sisters are a really good place right now. Like I think there's definitely a world where are they too good? God, remain like again, it's one of those things of do we just need to take a bit of time to adapt to these data sheets, or are Sanctifiers too cheap, or did Retributors get too much of a buff, right? Like we very much do exist in a space where all of those things could simultaneously be true or not true.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think it is entirely possible that GW unwound a few too many nerfs from the Sisters army at some point, but it also might be you just have to increase points on the Sanctifiers and then see how things settle because
and I'm not even sure Sanctifiers are in every single list, but they are certainly showing up a lot and they're very good.
Yeah. And I don't know, the army still has plenty of good pieces like Morvenval and Suits are still an amazing data sheet, right? Combination. Rerolling everything is an amazing thing. That's an amazing ability to have.
Vol is very, very good at Warhammer.
Yeah, Vol by herself is very good at Warhammer.
All right. So that's our short spiel on Sisters. Congratulations to Jack for winning Coventry. Very, very well done and very well deserved. Even though, as we all know, Jack Tight is cursed on Purge of the Foe and cannot win it. There was 2 Purges at Coventry and he won both of them. So very, very well done.
Good job.
All right. We are now going to transition into Space Marine Power Hour compensation time.
Yep.
So we're going to chat about the new Ultramarine stuff that got previewed on my birthday because Games Workshop loves me. And we're going to talk about the Hammer of Averny detachment, and we're going to talk about Spear Tips Tank Force. So let's start at the beginning. Let's talk about Hammer of Averny.
Yep.
So Hammer is the Iron Hands attachment. We're going to talk about Kanakvar in conjunction with this. I'm just going to present the screen for this because it's going to make things much easier on both of us.
I laughed so deep and so hard when I realized that this was a first company derivation and not some kind of Ironstorm thing.
drove me goddamn mad. So if you're in the Statue Discord, you'll have seen me at the immediate second of release at 10 a.m. UK time. I posted a picture of me having ordered this, and then I went away and read it and came back about 5 minutes later and posted, "Oh no, he's bad," which was a bit of a playing it up for dramatic effect because he's a cool model and I don't think he's terrible. Right? He's got to feel no pain. He's a strong independent man. Who doesn't need
Who doesn't need no man.
He doesn't need no attached Terminator unit.
Sure.
Because you can't make me play Terminators.
He does indeed need all the parts from other people, though, so that he can keep his cybernetics running.
Yeah, for sure. So Hammer of Avernay, you get reroll once to win against your oath target. That's the standard First Company Task Force derivation. And as long as VAR is alive, you can recalculate to a new oath target when you kill your first one. VAR can pick something in line of sight and make it a new oath target, which is actually super cool.
That's good.
Yeah, I like that a ton. VAR just can play solo. He's 2 up armor, 5 up vulnerable, 5 up feel no pain. He can stand about, play on some tight angles, and just kind of poke and prod out. It gives you some really cool, interesting options for doing like indirect to the first one, point to the thing the Redemptors are looking at for the second one, all that kind of stuff. Whether you're playing him with a Terminator squad or not, I've seen some people trying him with like him plus an Ancient with the res enhancement and stuff like that in a 10 brick, which is crazy work to me. But fucking power to you.
Yeah, I mean, more power to you if you try to find success with the Terminator datasheet at this point.
Yeah. The enhancements are okay. We've got +1 attack for the bearer once per game, +1 attack to the unit. We've got the shitty battle shock thing. We've got +1 OC, +1 OC to the unit once per game. And then we've got res a model in the command phase, which I think is the best one by far. Stratagems, we've got armor of contempt. We've got so +1 to hit if you're below starting strength, +1 to hit, and +1 to wound if you're below starting strength for Dreadnought, Terminator, Blade Guard, Stern Guard, and Vanguard. The fact that this works on Dreadnoughts, this attachment is pretty solid. It means you can do some fun things with like a Redemptor that failed its hazardous test, can get +1 to hit and wound, which is pretty funny. I do like this a lot. It's a pretty good stratagem. We've got Dominator Beacon, which is go back in sticky objective in your movement phase, which is a really cool timing for this ability. It means you can walk onto an objective. As long as you controlled it at the start of the phase, you can sticky it, and then so you can like have your scouts start on an objective and then walk a Redemptor onto it, sticky it, and then even if the scouts moved away, you can still sticky it, and then if the Redemptor dies or if the Redemptor walks off, you can still keep the objective in your control zone, which is super powerful. You've got Cogitate Ferocity, which is fight phase, your fight phase specifically, so you can't use it in your opponent's turn. Sustained or lethal, which is a really good way to boost the damage on some of these kind of like medium punchy melee units. You've got -1 damage in the charge phase for Terminator, Blade Guard, Stern Guard, and Vanguard, which honestly, coward move to not let this go on Redemptor Dreadnoughts. Why can't I make damage 3, damage 1?
Why, Innes? What is the reason, do you think?
I can't think of a single goddamn reason why this shouldn't have been allowed to work on Dreadnoughts. I can't think of a single one. And then we have Dropship Extraction, which is the Terminator can go back into reserve at the end of your opponent's fight phase. Again, I cowardice that this doesn't work on any of the standard keyworded stuff. I think overall this attachment's kind of cool. Let's go and jump over to VAR's datasheet to just kind of.
I think the attachment is cute.
Going on.
Like, there's nothing wrong with it. It just it doesn't do anything fantastically well, and it
so
doesn't
the
do
thing
badly.
I'm going to really quickly touch on VAR, and then I'll kind of talk about general thoughts and what you should look at doing with this attachment. So VAR standard Terminator profile, toughness 5, 2 up, 4 up, 6 wounds. Movement 5. He's got a Stormbolter, which honestly is the worst part about him. Why couldn't he just have like a slightly better melee gun, right? Why couldn't he have a Mastercrafted Stormbolter that's like 5-1-2 or something like that, right? Like, there's no reason he had to suck at ranged. He's either 5 attacks at 8-2-2 in combat or 10 attacks at 5-2-1, which is hilarious work. His sweep profile is better than Suboken's.
It's because he got a bigger stick.
He does have the ankle shanker. I was hoping he'd have like anti-legs 2+, just anything with legs. He wounds on 2s.
I like it.
So he's got Deep Strike, 5 up, feel no pain. He has Terminator keyword, which means you can do all the teleporty stuff on his unit. He can give his unit. He gives his unit lethal against monster vehicles. It's sustained against everything else. He gives a unit scout, and he can redeploy a unit. Now, my personal favorite thing to do with that, you can give scout to a unit in a transport, which is super fun. Because you can just like have a unit that just like shoves up super far on the board. You can do it on like an impulsor. You can also, my favorite place to do it is on a 5-man squad of infiltrators with the Lone Op Librarian, the Librarian of Phobos armor, because you give them, they have scout, infiltrate, Lone Op 12, and a redeploy, and they just, God, that unit causes havoc. It's expensive, but a scouting, infiltrating, redeploying unit with Lone Op 12 causes real problems for your opponent's ability to just like interact with them, and you can control a ton of space with it. Now, what do I think ends up being the best way to build this attachment? So we did a bit of playtesting, and I'll recommend you check out Path to Victory, Isaac Terada's video on the attachment, because he's playtested that much more than I have. But it is broadly something to the tune of like triple indirect pieces, so double whirlwind, one desolation marine, or triple whirlwind, and then like 3 of the 2-up armor save gun pieces, whether that's Vindicators or Redemptive Dreadnoughts, is kind of up to you, and then a bunch of chaff and scoring and Saboka and Kanok, and you basically go with the perception of, I have got all of this indirect, I'm going to use my first oath on that, and then I will use Var, who is probably teleporting around the board, playing really tight angles, playing Kfirl, and I will take my second oath with +1 to wound and full rerolls, and reroll 1s to wound for the Vindicators and the Redemptors that are playing the forward game. And then you get the benefit of like killing a thing reliably at long range with, double whirlwind Desolation Marines. You can shred pretty much anything reasonable, right? As long as you're not asking them to kill like rhinos, but like Rhino plus behind a wall. If you ask them to kill an infantry squad, they're going to kill it, right? With 5 Desos and 2 whirlwinds, and you might even get to keep like one of them for going into your next target. But you can pick up like a 10 man of 10 man of most infantry units with what's going there. And then you can then transition that into still having the oath to kill the thing in front of you, and then you've still got the +1 AP, the +1 to hit strat, and you've still got the sustained lethal in combat strat to kind of punch through a thing that's not your old target on top of that. And yeah, that feels pretty good right now. I've not disliked it. I know Isaac had a decent amount of success playing games with it. And I would definitely recommend, if you're looking at this attachment, I think that's the competitive advantage this attachment brings, is it does make indirect a lot more palatable, because stacking reroll all hits, reroll 1s to wound and +1 to wound does push Vindicators and Desolation to the point where they're actually doing enough damage. I think if you're playing on WTC, this might unironically be really good, because Desolation Marines can get plunging fire on WTC, at which point their biggest problem with AP gets solved a little bit as well.
That makes sense. You can fit like 3 or 4 of them on that 3rd floor ruin to get.
You fit all 5 on the.
Can you fit all 5?
Floor?
Oh, damn. Yeah. That's not bad then. I still think that this detachment is like just kind of fine, right? It's not bad. It's not amazing, but it's solidly good and playable.
It feels very safe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they played it pretty close to the chest of, it's Iron Hands. Are we really sure we can't do an Iron Storm detachment, can we? Right? Like that would have been too much.
I am glad that they didn't make another Herald of the Apocalypse with an Iron Storm army. I'm just glad
I am thoroughly heartbroken, personally, as a strong Iron Hands enjoyer. I was hoping it would be a little better. I am still probably going to try to take this to an event in Scotland sometime this year, to get a run out with it. I've got a team event in December, or I might suck it up and do it for Celtic Cup, but I might take White Scars or Ultramarines to that, depending. We'll see. That event's a long time away. It's like 4 weeks away, so I've got a lot of time to think about that.
Speaking of White Scars,
yeah, let's do Sabokin first, because I think he gives a lot of context, and he's right here. So Sabokin has a heavy bolt pistol and an onslaught Gatling cannon, which is super cool. 8 shots at 501 dev wounds is a fun little profile to have on a character. He's 12-inch move, toughness 5, 3 up, 4 up, 8 wounds, and OC2, which is kind of fun. He is 6 attacks in combat with Lance, anti-monster, anti-vehicle 4 up. So his special rule is that he wounds you on 4s. It doesn't really matter what you are; he's going to wound you on 4s. I can't think of anything that he doesn't wound on 4s, actually. Or better, right?
Well, yeah, it's most things.
Not a lot of toughness 12. Not a lot of toughness 12 non-vehicles and monsters running around.
Correct. I think we'd have heard of it by now.
I think so. And then his special rules are: his unit can advance and charge, and fall back and charge. And if it can advance and declare a charge and shoot already, it gets +1. So the only way to do that in the game, I believe, right now, is to be in a detachment that gives you advance and charge, and use a stratagem that gives you advance and shoot, which is basically using the assault stratagem in Stormlance or the assault stratagem in a Spear Tip. Those seem to be the only current ways to do that, which will then give his unit the ability to get +1 to charge. Probably not a thing you're going to do, but it's the same wording as Samuel. And then his unit, and again, neither of these are actually leader abilities, which is super cool. It does mean that you can play him by himself if you really want to, or if his escort dies, you don't your heart doesn't break as he's suddenly stuck there. His unit can just go through walls. Now, it doesn't let it go through models, notably, so it does still get stuck in a position of, no, it is going to get stuck where it is.
You don't have fly.
You do not have fly. And notably, despite the fact that he is literally flying, right? Like, look at that bike is not touching the ground, bro. That is an air gap, right?
Yep.
Like, actually, technically, his grav plate is scuffing a rock because he's not very good at driving, I assume. But he does not have fly, neither does his unit, which means they do not go over models, which is very important. So it does mean that they are still quite move blockable. But he's super cool. I think he does a lot for the detachment, and he's a super cool data sheet. Let's take a look at what the detachment does.
Yeah.
But do you have any thoughts on Zabokin?
I really like him with Outriders because he gets +1 strength and +1 damage on the charge.
Yes. Outriders specifically, +1 strength, +1 damage. They're an 80-point unit. There's a squad of them on Sprue sitting down here because I had to buy the Battle Force to get the model. C'est la vie. We'll get them built. Yeah, so he goes to strength 7, AP 2, damage 3 on the charge, which is a pretty good profile.
Yeah.
He does also have a sweet profile with 8 attacks at that point 6/2/2, which is also pretty good if you need to kill, like, if you got to kill 7 models, might as well, right?
If you got a bunch of Marines to kill, do it.
If you got to kill like you would still rather wound Marines on 2s, I think, with 2 less attacks. Maybe. I'm not sure what the breakpoint there is.
It's close. You'd be wounding them on 2s anyways, right? Because your strength
5
goes up. Your strength 5. Marines are T4, and you get
the sword isn't lance.
You don't have lance. That's right. You only have lance.
So I think is 2 more attacks better than +1 to wound? You're doing 25% more wounds versus 20.
You also shove them to a
33% more attacks.
So you're probably.
I think they're both the same AP. So I think the spear is better against like Space Marines, so which is nice. Or the sword is better against like Space Marine profiles, which is is genuinely meaningful. So there are actually places you will use that strat. You will use that profile. Yeah, they're both AP2, so there's no difference there. Okay, and there's ways to give him lance outside of, right? Because you can do the stratagem that gives you lance and +1 lance and lethal. It gives both to mounted in this detachment, so you might find that the spear will be better, the sword will be better a lot of times because of that specifically.
Yep. So we can talk about spear point then.
We have not talked about the new ultramarines. They'll be up next after spear point. Yeah. Okay. So army rule is storm lance, advance and charge, and fall back and charge. Fantastic. Really good. Definitely. Amazing. Really, really solid. The special character rule that you get is Wrath of the First Khan. So at the end of your fight phase, if Sabodin is in your army and they destroyed an enemy unit and are not within engagement range, they can make a normal move of 6 inches. Notably, this can go through walls because their rule is not phase locked. So you can fight and fade as long as you kill a thing. This is really good. Just genuinely, Outriders have huge bases. They're really good at move blocking. They can get in front of your opponent and do a lot of really jammy up stuff. Or they can try to get themselves in and out to safety. They're able to just they can play really good point defense on your objective and all that kind of stuff. If you're playing actual Khan in the army as well, the Outriders do go to OC3, which is kind of funny because this unit becomes OC11, which is kind of hilarious. I'm not convinced I would think that's worth running Khan for, but he is the only way to generate CP in the detachment. So maybe.
only if you kill characters in melee or something, right?
Yeah, but he has natural precision, so he can be your little hunter guy.
Can do it.
He's only 70 points.
He's also cheap.
I actually don't hate him in a squad of 5 assault intercessors, just like generically in this detachment. But
we can talk about that at the end.
Because he gives them lance always on, which is nice, and assault, which you can use to just kind of get them around the board. So if you're playing like a vehicle that you want something in, right, they're not a bad place to be. Okay, enhancements. We've got Spear Point Paragon, +1 strength and AP, and if you charge, +1 to both. Notably not mounted like it is in the Stormhead detachment. So very interesting on like a Judicar or a Captain or all that kind of place. Does have a little bit of a doesn't increase damage problem, right? Like only being damage 2 is sad. Damage 3 is a lot more fun, and this doesn't do anything for that. But a cool place to exist. We've got reroll advances for a unit. We've got ranged weapons gain sustained hits and ignore cover. Super solid on a unit like Hellblasters or Sternguard with Librarian, or I've even seen like aggressors, like bolter aggressors with Apothecary Biologist for the lethal sustained ignore cover.
Yep.
With the +1 AP, it's pretty solid. It's not it's not bad.
It's a good enhancement for this detachment.
Yeah, and then we've got Chagorian Huntmaster. Bearer's unit in Strat Reserve teach the battle rounds being one higher than it actually is. Holy crap, is this worse than Hunter's Instincts?
Yeah, it's also only takeable on one
mounted
model.
Characters, which means it only works on the Chaplain, who sucks.
Yeah, only one model.
When they print the Lieutenant on bike that you can join with Sabodin, I think this will finally be good. Until then, let's continue to ignore it.
Yeah.
Mounted data sheets only exist when the character is broken, not because of the mounted data sheet.
It's true.
And the Chaplain on bike is not a broken character. Do you know what the Captain's data sheet ability is, Nathan? Besides the +1 to wound that all Chaplains have?
No. What is it?
Okay. He picks a target within, I want to say, it's either 12 or 24, and you get dev wounds in shooting against it.
That's terrible, and we should never talk about it ever again. I don't like it. That's bad. Yeah, that's just straight bad.
It is within 12. Within 12 invisible.
Wow. Yeah, I don't like it at all. I mean, I guess maybe if you put an ATV with it, You could
Yeah,
dev
bro, you want that
wounds.
one that onslaught Gatling cannon that's already got dev wounds, or the
No, the
multi melter with its two
multi-melta.
shots?
Yeah, the multi-melta. You can just dev wounds that, I guess. I guess that's okay, but it's not good.
No, it's not
It's
good.
not even okay. It's below average. Don't do that, guys.
They don't even have assault.
They don't.
Outriders rifles are twin linked. I don't care. I don't care.
It is a bunch of one dev. That's all it is. All right.
Not to say the chat was amazing, but 5 at 933 plus 1 to wound. Yeah, but if you're doing that, you don't have Chigorian Huntmaster to come in turn 1, which means that we're running them on the board. And how many Outriders are you deploying? All right, strats. We have got Armor of Contempt, shocking. We've got Spear Thrust and Saber Swing, which is hilarious.
It's better in this one, isn't it? Because it's just
Yeah, so it is in
Astartes unit.
the regular detachment. This is Lance and reroll charges for mounted, and in this detachment, it is a Lance or lethal hits for anything. And if you're mounted, you get both, which is great. That's just a good stratagem. Lance for any given melee unit is really nice, especially if you don't have that +1 to wound active from ult at the moment, because you will only have one in this detachment. And Lance and lethal hits for your bikes is just genuinely solid.
Yep.
We've got mobile lethality, which is advance and shoot and advance, or fall back and advance. No, fall back and shoot. There we go. Jesus Christ. Notably, the difference for the regular detachment is that in the regular detachment, this gives you assault and sustained hits if you already have assault. In this detachment, it gives you fall back and do thing instead, which is generally better. The sustained hits doesn't come up a ton except on like exactly intercessors and inceptors, but here having access to fall back and shoot is one of the very big one of the big downsides of Stormlance is that you don't have fall back and shoot at all, so you do kind of get bogged down, especially with stuff like Redemptor Dreadnoughts, and having a full source of access to the here is kind of nice. Now we have Hunter's Instincts, not notably the enhancement, which is very stupid. Why are they named the same thing but different?
To confuse you specifically, Innes.
Yep. This is the standard 6-inch reactive move for infantry and mounted. Solid, great on Saboden. Saboden can zip through walls with this as well, which is kind of fun. You've got evasive maneuvers, -1 to hit and wound for a fly vehicle or mounted unit, also great. And then you've got withdraw and regroup, which is go back in reserve for a fly vehicle or mounted unit that's not within engagement range. Again, really, really solid. I actually think my favorite place to do this. So the one for first thing, Stormraven is too big to come in off for strat reserve and be allowed to shoot. So unless you have it in aircraft mode, which you're unlikely to want to do, so not the best for the Stormraven. But it is really, really interesting on a Stormhawk interceptor. And I am a big fan of that, wanting exactly one of those in this detachment, because aircraft are still messed up. The old towering rule is really powerful, and the Stormhawk is only 155 points. Now, the biggest downside of the Stormhawk is that it's very move blockable, but if you want to, you don't have to leave it where it is. You can just zip it about. And if your opponent move blocks it, you just teleport it. Now, it is a little CP intensive. You can only use it from turn 2 onwards, but indirect is pretty good. And this is kind of indirect.
Yeah. I will also say that this detachment can be really CP thirsty, and you don't really have a good means to like keep churning it. So you got to be very careful with your CP economy in this detachment, because you want to be able to use these things. It is a good detachment, though. I think this is a good detachment, personally.
Yeah, I mean, we already saw Ruben Zhao win a tournament with it this weekend. I'm going to see if I can dig out his list just to kind of... We'll chat through the most... the most proven version of it right now, just because it's already won an event, and I think that that's a good place to just kind of start. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, here we go. So Subordinate Khan, an Apothecary, a Captain with Spear Point Paragon, which is the +2, the plus Strength and Attacks enhancement, Lieutenant with Hunter's Eye, a Combi Lieutenant, Landry Redeemer, 2 Repulsor Executioners. Hell yeah. 5 Assault Intercessors, which will be going with the Captain, 5 Jump Assault Intercessors, which will be solo, 3 Assault Centurions, 10 Hellblasters who I assume are getting the Lieutenant with Hunter's Eye, and potentially also the Apothecary. I'm not entirely sure if they can double attach there, but res seems good there. Apothecary at 50 points is expensive, but 1 Incursion Squad, 1 Infiltrator Squad, 1 Scout Squad, and 1 Outrider Squad. So very miser's grab bag of scoring pieces there. Double Repex is a lot of guns, plus a Landry Redeemer. So a lot of toughness 12. No more than 1 unit of Outriders is absolutely correct for this detachment in KR. Outriders are kind of terrible by themselves. They don't really do very much. They're quite oath dependent, and they really only benefit by buffing a character. And only 1 character is worth buffing in the form of Subordinate. So I do not think there is a meaningful reason, as far as I'm concerned, to run more than 1 squad.
Also, it's really hard to buff multiple squads, because you want to be able to buff multiple squads with stratagems in this detachment. It feels like you want to be able to give them something. and it's really hard to give them
Yeah,
something
either
when you
you
don't
want
have
to
any
be giving
units
them
to
oath,
generate CP.
realistically,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, realistically, you want oaths, but like you need to be able to put defensive stratagems or offensive stratagems into units. It's hard. Okay.
All right. So that's our thoughts on those two attachments. Of the two, I personally think Hammer of Arnie seems like more fun, but that's because I'm an Iron Hands indirect build by. I love my Desolation Marines, and it's the the best support for them we've gotten in years. Hilariously, a Desolation Marine with the ignores cover sustained its enhancements kind of hilarious, but the White Scars attachment, but I don't think you should actually do that. It just sounds funny. All right, we have one more thing to touch on before we go over to the plugs and the questions. Nathan, do you want to tell me about the new Ultramarines?
I'm going to share my screen so that we can look at these like one at a time. So Games Workshop put out a preview for a bunch of Ultramarines rules reveals for their data sheets for Marnius, Cato Sicarius, and the Victrix Honor Guard unit, which one of these terrifies me far more than the other ones, and we'll talk about it in a second.
God, Sicarius is so good.
Marnius Calgar in the army of Antilochus. I don't know, man. I don't.
The army of Antilochus.
In the armor of Antilochus. He's still Marnius Calgar, just without his Victrix. He seems pretty much the same. He still gives his army +1 CP if he's the warlord, and still lets the unit that he leads shoot and charge in a turn in which it advanced and or fell back. So it's like he's still good. He has 6 attacks.
He
he
gives his unit all the doctrines. Yep.
He gives his unit all the things. He seems good still. Marnius Calgar is currently good. He's still good in Terminator armor of this variant, and he can lead a variety of units.
Yeah, he can lead basically everything that's not in Phobos armor.
Yep.
Or
that he can lead
units.
Whatever he wants that stays feet on the ground and is not stealthy. That's all that there is to it.
Yeah. It's a shame he can't lead the original Calgar unit. Just because it'd be funny.
I don't think you can take another. You cannot include more than one Marnius Calgar unit. So don't even try.
He's very clearly worse than the original one, right? I think that's a really important thing to say here, right? The fact that you do not get the Victrix Guard, and therefore he does not have a Feel No Pain, and all that kind of stuff that goes with it, right? The Victrix Guard are very much an important part of the original Calgar data sheet.
Correct.
However, if he is cheap enough, there is a world where you're sometimes just like, hey, I just want the cheap Calgar. I don't want to play the super expensive version, but I still want the unit that does all of that stuff. I could see a world where you still take him, right? Like, he's not terrible, but he's not the most exciting part of this release.
Yeah. Cato Sicarius is up next. Cato Sicarius, I don't know if he had 3 profiles before, but he has 3 profiles now. So he has either Dev Wounds on a strike profile at 4 attacks at 633. He has a sweep with sustained at 521 and 9 attacks, or he has a precision called the coup de grace, where it's 6 attacks, hitting on 2s at 522 with precision. He has the Knight Champion of McCrag, so once per turn, you can reactive move up to 6 inches away. And then Honor or Death, you can Heroic Intervene for 0 CP. And he can double join in a Victrix Honor Guard unit. So you can join Victrix with a Marnius Calgar unit. So, which actually is quite good, I think. I think you do actually do that.
I think it's a thing you will genuinely want to do. The biggest thing here is that the 6-inch reactive move works. So, like, just keep Calgar in the game, right? Like, people can't just run away from him, or it gives Calgar a free way to get back behind a wall, even detachments that like don't necessarily want to spend CP on it, right? Like, Gladius can feel a little more taxed in CP. Now, he is likely to be expensive. We do not know the points of these guys, but he's pretty rough. Do we think they will leave old Calgar as he is now? They said at the top here in the little blurb bit that they're not changing, that the old Calgar will still be playable. So I do not imagine current Calgar will change in the slightest. I don't think they're going to stop selling the box anytime soon. So
no.
The next one is Sicarius is super cool. Talk us through the Honor Guard.
The next cheat is the one that changes the goddamn game, which is for a lot of reasons. And one of them is that suddenly Marnius Calgar leads a unit that has every single possible datasheet ability that could ever exist. So Victrix Honor Guard are pretty basic. They're just Company of Heroes at like their core. They have a 2-up armor save. They have 4 wounds, 6-up leadership, OC2.
Notably, and 2-up save are fucking great.
Yep. They have either 5 attacks or 6 attacks, depending on if they're a champion or not champion. The champion has 6 attacks, twin-linked, precision at 522, or mastercrafted power weapons where they each have 5 attacks, hitting on 2s at 522 without
everyone that's not the champion. Yeah,
correct. And makes me sad that for some reason, like Wolfguard Terminators can't have 2s to hit, but this unit fucking can have 2s to hit. I'm not going to start.
Veterans, Wolfguard Terminators are guys.
Wolfguard Terminators are veterans.
They hit better than regular Terminators. Regular Terminators hit on 4s.
True. But yeah, so if you have a character with each unit, either a captain or a chapter master, -1 to wound at all times. Not the other version of transhuman where it's strength higher than toughness. They have the glory of Ultramar, which I think is actually the thing that is kind of impressive, is in your opponent's shooting phase, each time an enemy unit has shot, if any models from this unit were destroyed as a result of those attacks, you get to Blood Surge. You roll a d6. This unit
It's a
can
Blood
move.
Surge. We don't need to go through
It's
the
Blood Surge.
specifics.
I'm not going to go through the whole thing.
Yeah.
Otherwise, notably, you can add an Ancient, a Chapter Champion, and you can have that along with 1 through 6 Victrix Honor Guard. Notably, if you take 2 of these units, you cannot take another Chapter Ancient and Chapter Champion.
The Chapter Ancient and the Chapter Champion are both
epic heroes.
Epic heroes, yeah.
They do not have the character keyword though, so you cannot give them enhancements. They are just epic heroes as far as.
So, and then the last thing to cover is the banner, which is once per game +1 strength and attack to the unit in combat. Now, notably, the banner is approximately 6 inches tall, and I don't think you'll play it for that single reason. That it makes the unit really fucking hard to play because the banner is huge. And I think that you will probably see the champion, but not necessarily that. Now, the really busted part of this for me is that they attach as if they were company heroes, which means that the current, as we understand it, the current version of Calgar that we have no indication is changing, and until they say that it is changing, I think speculating that it will change is stupid, and that fantastic if it changes, it changes, but until it does, stop worrying about it. The current version of Calgar is messed up in this unit.
Yep. All of a sudden, it fallback, advances, and charges and shoots. It has a Blood Surge move, and you attach Kato Sicarius to it, and then it has a reactive move of up to 6 inches. So,
and it has the 2 extra shield guys.
Yeah, and it has 2 extra freaking Victrix Honor Guard who have invulnerable saves and shields.
Maybe they'll upgrade the old Calgar data sheet to give those guys 4 wounds as well.
Oh fuck, Innis, no. You caused me actual physical pain. Like, a part of me died and wandered off into the ether in the great beyond as you said that. I cannot believe that you did that. Wow.
The buff Calgar needs. Calgar would be worth 220 at that point.
Yeah. This unit is great.
This unit's messed up. I think this unit creates new Space Marine archetypes, because not just with Calgar, but also this is a genuinely viable unit to be led by other Marine characters that are not Calgar, which we do not really have, because this unit's better than Blade Guard. And if it's
100%.
reasonably equivalently pointed, right, the fact that it hits on 2s just alone, the fact that it Blood Surges on top of that, Honor Vehement Captain in Gladius, Uriel Ventress for the Vectora, Sicarius by himself if you didn't want to attach Calgar. You, for what it's worth as well, you can double attach a lieutenant to this unit with a captain, which you can do that with Calgar too, to give that unit enhancements. Such as, for example, Vanguard Spearhead's Infiltrate enhancement. Or, any number of other things. Like, there is so much you can do with this. And I think that it potentially spawns an archetype of, like, I could see a world, like, we do not know points cost yet, right? If this unit's 300 points for 6, I don't think it's gonna make much of a dent in the meta game. You might see the one unit with Calgar, but you might only play a 3-man, right? Like, whatever. If this unit's 120, 110, 100, we're talking I'm playing 18 of them.
How much,
right? For 3.
How much are Company of Heroes right now?
105 for 4.
These guys are definitely better than Company of Heroes. You'd hope that.
But they are less wounds, expensive, right? Which is a real metric, right? I think this unit should probably be I think this unit is probably playable at, like, you will play this unit at anything up to about 130, I think. I think it's very, very competitive at 120. I think that I think what I would reasonably like to see is a 3-man squad cost like 110, or maybe a 3-man is like 115, 120, and the 6-man squad is like 250, right? Like, put an extra like 30-point tax on that second half.
Sure.
Because that's where it starts becoming, like, that Blood Surge becomes problematic once it's in a 7-model squad at that point, I think is kind of how I think about it.
I do think that hopefully what GW does is they actually put appropriate points costs on, like, the Ancient and the Champion to, like, add them as, like, point increases.
I honestly think the Ancient should be the same price, because he's just like single-handedly makes the unit so much harder to play. But I think the Champion should probably be like 20 points. So it should be like 10 points more, right? Just adding an extra attack into a link. It doesn't need to be expensive, but just like put a point on it.
I do think that, like, it's very obviously a possible situation where you underpoint them a little too much and everybody takes 18 of them, though, which is not a great world to be in. Like,
the world should not be. If they're 240 for 6, I think you probably can justify taking it. I think 18 might. I think at 240 for 6 they might still be too expensive.
You might still take the 1 unit.
I think
you do still take the 1 unit.
240 for 6. 240 for 6. I think 18 is prohibitive. I think that is starting to get to the point where, like, I think the thing that I kind of think about it is that the second and third character, the second and third unit are nowhere near as good because they don't have Calgar.
Right.
And that kind of puts me in the position of, like, the first unit is probably worth like 300. I don't think you can attach a lieutenant to it because the leader on the
we'll have to wait for an FAQ.
That's fair. If you can't do that, then fantastic. I am very happy with that, and that would be much more fun. Fingers crossed. That would be.
I will say I don't know, guys, but Uriel's not on the Games Workshop purchase page anymore, and I would be very tentative at including him in any designs moving forward, just because he's not even present on the Games Workshop store. Just as an aside, he was a Black Library exclusive model and has vanished.
He might be getting repackaged.
He might be getting
real GW kits.
Normally, though, when you repackage them, they're still on the store.
I could see doing Titus with the unit being kind of interesting as well, right?
Titus
is Titus captain or is Titus a lieutenant?
I think Titus is a lieutenant because he's a lieutenant in the game, right? But is old
giving them sustained
Caldar's not on the store? Interesting. I don't know. I don't want to vibe too much on that, but I do not see Uriel Ventress like on the store at all. So normally I associate repacks with them going to temporarily.
Okay, Titus can't join them, which is sad because Titus deserves better, but
he does. He was a captain at one point in history. He's no longer, though.
Uriel is kind of interesting. I think the Sicarius, I think there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with this, and I'm very interested. Like, I think the idea of 18 of them being a playable but not broken army would be super cool, right? I would really like it if, like, playing 18 of them was a thing that you could do and win tournaments with, but that wasn't busted. I just do not know what the points value. I would need to be, like, I hope that got play tested, right? I hope someone was like, what if we just put 18 of these on the table? Because I think that the new cool, like, flagship ultramarine stuff should be a playable army, right? Like, there's not I don't think that's a crazy thing to say.
No.
It's way cooler when these data sheets come out and they're interesting and they impact the metagame. It is not cool when they come out and they're broken.
Yeah.
There's a lot of indicators on this unit that says it could be broken, right? Current Calgar being broken is a big part of that. And Blood Surges being mechanically very frustrating is a big part of that.
Yep.
And reactive moves, right? Let's not.
It stacks every single rule.
Can we just cover the one last really fucked up thing about the reactive move on Calgar? Is that it's not phase locked.
That's true.
Which means that the current updated ruling for reactive moves is that if you advance, or that if you make a normal move and then you can't make another normal move in the same phase. However, there is no such restriction on having advanced and making a normal move afterwards. So it is entirely possible that the Calgar unit can advance up to 12 inches to chase something. It then reactive moves away, does not get outside of 9, and the Calgar unit then moves 6 inches and follows it because it has not made a normal move yet this phase and is still allowed to move. The same thing applies on fallbacks because fallbacks are also not so restricted.
Amazing. Like, I think it's good. I love the model. So for this Ultramarine release, all the models have been really great. I think all the models look cool, except for the fact that for some reason they didn't give Kato Sicarius a helmet. Like, he should wear a helmet.
Yeah, no, he's gonna get chopped up a little bit and get a helmet given.
He's getting a helmet, but
he's getting a helmet.
I honestly think those Victrix Honor Guard look fucking.
They're
so cool, and
I think I'm going to build the banner regardless of the fact that, like, I'm going to.
I'm just not.
I might just tell my opponent that I'm not using it and that he's just here and that he's magnetized, and we're gonna put it. By the way, did they like randomly have a good gun?
I
seem to recall them all having marksman bolt carbines.
They do. Oh, I forgot to talk about it. They do have good guns. They have damage.
They're like
guns.
2 shots each at 4.12, right?
Yeah, they have master crafted bolt rifles basically, which are very funny. I need to pull it up
that's
again.
Still still 10 shots at AP1 damage 2 in detachments that buff that, right?
Yep.
Like with Oath of Moment, 4 rerolls +1 to wound, with Storm of Fire and Dev Doctrine turn for +1 AP, ignore cover, right? Like, that's a gun that matters in Ultramarines. Company heroes like have the heavy bolter and the one guy with the gun, and that's enough to be annoying when you stack it on top of Calgar.
Suddenly, everybody in this
unit has a Custody Guard war unit worth of shooting.
Yep, 2 shots, 24 inches.
Nothing.
No keywords, but hitting on 2s, 4-1-2. But they have assault effectively because of Calgar will be leading them. Almost assuredly, you're attaching Marnia's Calgar to this unit so that they have advance and shoot. That is a lot of like little piddly guns, but it is a lot of piddly guns at damage 2 with potentially full rerolls to hit and +1 to wound. which strength 4 plus 1 to wound is an annoying ass profile to have to deal with defensively.
Like Sicarius also adds like another 4 attacks at damage 3. So on the go turn, if you have the banner, the unit has 12 damage 3 attacks between Calgar and Sicarius. And then you've got the like, what does it end up being? 7 Victrix guards with 42 attacks at damage 2, plus
It's
the
a
champion with
lot.
another 7 at damage 2 twin linked. So
Yep.
49, 61 attacks on the go turn, all at multi damage.
That isn't a unit that kills God, and it's
And
3
like,
friends nearby.
think of this as well. The current 7 model Company Heroes Calgar squad can stretch pretty far to do some interesting things, right? With like Calgar at one end, the champion like 1 Victrix at the other to like punch up a little bit and kill some stuff. Like a 10 model squad can do so much more on the chaining front.
Yep.
And with the amount of attacks it has, you don't mind losing like 1 or 2 guys swinging into a target if it gets you to kill 2 major impacts at the same time, right?
Yeah, and if you can attach Gravis armor with Victrix Guard, Calgar to this unit, it becomes a lot more durable as well, right? So, like, it gets an invulnerable save. They have a 2-up save, so they're already pretty durable. I did watch somebody playing on TTS, and I watched Brick fight on death and kill like 5 of the company of 5 of the Victrix Guard on the clap, because they are 4 wounds and they are a 2-up save, but they do just die. Like,
I mean, like 2-up armor save armor content is as durable as you're going to get without an invulnerable save in the game with -1 to wound.
Yeah, it's just the fight on death is going to hurt this unit a lot.
Sure, but like you can play Ventress, you can play Calidus, right? If you want to play a melee ultramarine army, you can do it. It's not like there is tools to do that.
Yes, and as Let's Get It says, you do also have 1 shot from Cato Sicarius at 832 on his pistol.
Let's go. Let's get my Ironstorm reroll.
Randomly just blap some poor soul with a damage 2 plasma pistol out of existence. It doesn't even have a hazardous.
The most important thing is just going Mercy's weakness, Mercy's weakness, Mercy's weakness.
Yes, exactly.
So you
have to yell it the whole time while you're doing it as well. And you don't need Gladius in this army. Like, the army has all the things you can do on 1 unit already.
Yeah, like my immediate first starting point was like Calgar plus 10, like Calgar plus 9, right? The full size squad is 11 models, which means it fits in a Storm Raven.
Oh my god. It is no, it is no. Yeah, stop.
It can react to move it back in and out of it with Sicarius for free. I don't even need to spend CP on it.
The funny thing is the unit is like doesn't care if it has CP or not, because it just does all the things anyways, right? Like you move within 9 inches, it walks back into the transport for free. The unit just does all the things, and all you're doing is paying points for it. There's no CP cost to any of this associated, which is a really good place to be, I think, for a unit.
All right. I'm going to do the plugs, and then we're going to do show questions.
Then we'll do questions.
Because it is, as much as it's an hour earlier, it's still getting late, and I need my beauty sleep because I don't have a lot of beauty to go around.
I was going to say, Ennis.
Thanks. I appreciate you, buddy. All right.
I know, bud.
If you are here with us today, thank you so much for being with us so far. We're going to be back in a little bit to the show questions, but I've got to, pay the bills and keep the house and keep the lights on to begin with. So first of all, if you're enjoying the show, please do all of the usual things to like, comment, subscribe, blah, 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 social media interaction stuff. It really does help us out. We do our best to respond and read all your comments and get back to you and kind of, have a bit of a natter. So if you want to have a chat with us between the episodes, it's a great place to do it. If you're in a position to support us a little bit more and you would like to help out with, helping fund the show, you can check out patreon.com/statcheck or the YouTube membership program in the description below. You can support the work we do for $5 a month. You get access to our Discord channel. You can participate in things like the Vibe Check League. You can have a chat with us. You can find out what my WCW list was a little bit earlier, and you can chat with some incredible players around the world, like the rest of the StatCheck hosts and the myriad onlookers and followers that we've gotten over the last few years of being around. And we do greatly appreciate everybody who is in that community.
We do.
If you want to see even more from StatCheck, you can check out us every Tuesday at 6 p.m. 6 p.m. Eastern time, or most of the time 11 p.m. UK time, but currently 10 p.m. for the next week. I think next week we should be back to normal. You guys have daylight savings on Sunday, right?
I believe so.
Sick. So we'll be back to normal time, 6 p.m. Eastern and 11 p.m. UK time as of next week. So you can check out that at youtube.com/statcheck, and you can also see all of our back episodes as well as all the episodes of our other shows. That's youtube.com/statcheck, or anywhere good podcasts are found, or also anywhere mediocre podcasts are found. In the case of the other ones. Love you guys.
You're gonna get murdered at WCW is what's gonna happen.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll live. If you'd like to support any of our sponsors who help keep us on the air, you can check out red-dragon.ca, you can check out wayland-utani-inc.com, you can check out etsy.com/shop/day15games, or you can check out saltergames.co.uk. You can find discount codes for all of them, as well as their links in the description below. If you are a StatCheck patron, you can get 15% off at Red Dragon by being part of that. If you would like to get help from any of the wonderful StatCheck coaches, like Nassim, who's been whinging at me that we might as well rename it to the Innocent Liam inbox. So, reach out and ask for Nassim. You can check out stat-check.com/coaching, or you can drop us an email at coaching@stat-check.com. We greatly appreciate everybody who reaches out as we build up to events like Worlds. So I will be very, very busy for the next couple of weeks, but if you're looking at getting some post-Worlds prepping up for sort of the new year, drop me a message. We'll have a ton more free time after Worlds comes around. And I'll be refilling my coffers after an expensive trip to Atlanta. I'm going to do the aquarium this time. That's a guarantee that I did not do last time because I don't fly until like 10 p.m. I think that's everything I got to plug.
All I've got to plug is to watch out for.
Yes, you were on Art of War Down Under, right?
Jeremy and I were on Art of War Down Under, so look out for that episode eventually coming out. It will be a stats-focused episode for all of you people who enjoy it. Also, we have something cooking. And so you should expect a new show sometime in the next few weeks, probably after WCW. So wait for that announcement. We'll probably announce it here first and then probably have the first episode of that coming after that. So just, have fun and wait. Now on to show questions.
Well, we have one last super chat very quickly. How is life at war? Which I assume is Nathan, but
I assume it's
Nathan.
Spell. As you can tell by seeing out my window all the time, it's
doesn't
very
look particularly war-torn.
It doesn't. It's very peaceful. As a matter of fact, I don't think people understand that Chicago is just like any other major city in the world. I don't know what to tell y'all. Chicago's great. I love Chicago. This is the best city in the United States, and all the other cities can fuck off. So there you go. Which is a very Chicago attitude to take about the situation. All right.
So, as always, there are 3 ways to get your question answered on the show. One is to leave a super chat, as the aforementioned people have. One is to just ask a really, really good question. And the third is to be in our Patreon Discord, where we will always answer your questions from the show question thread, as long as you get it in a reasonable time. We're going to be blitzing through these this week because we're coming up for 2 hours, and I would like to get to bed at a human time. So, let's get it on.
Start. There aren't that many this week, so that's a good thing. So the first one is Thunderhawk gunship in Stormlands depositing 15 Deathwing Knights, kind of based? ? That is from Yates.
If you want to do that, that's great. I'm pretty sure that combo is 1,650 points because I think the Thunderhawk's 900.
Yep.
But maybe the Thunderhawk's 1,100 and I'm going mad. Do you know what? You do, you boo. Power to you. That sounds hilarious.
That's what you should do, Yates. I just want to see more Thunderhawks on tables.
I would love. It's 840 points. Wow, it's so cheap. It's only 1,509 points. You can even play the Lion alongside
it. There you go. That's a full army right there. Just drop it out of the Thunderhawk.
And a lone up lieutenant.
True. All right. Dennis has the next question, which is Innis has mentioned not being that worried about AdMech. I think most people agree it finally has the power level to see some points bumps on its auto tick units. But how much do you think sheer unfamiliarity with the faction and massive info dump people get playing them the first several times plays into how well they are doing?
I certainly think AdMech are an army with really, really high potential upside, right? They are very, very good damage output. Oath is a very powerful rule, and they gave it to a pretty good character. And, they have powerful infiltrate tools and good shooting and good Overwatch. But they are ultimately also quite fragile. And every time I've played against them so far, it's been very much a case of I have felt like I have been able to exploit the fact that they are a medium mobility army in a game of high mobility armies and a medium durability army in a game of high durability armies. And I have found that I can generally dictate the tempo of the game in a way that I like against AdMech. It doesn't mean it always works. Certainly I've had some tough games against them, but generally I found that I feel like I have a lot of options into AdMech and that they don't take very many away from me, and that their low interaction units tend to be quite low damage as well, right? Like sterilizers are a really interesting data sheet. They do a ton of work. They can fire and fade and move 12 when they fire and fade. They're really good at move blocking, but their damage output is kind of pathetic, right? It's 57. It's 59 shots at AP 1 potentially with like strength 3. There are ways to buff it. You can give it lethals. You can give it another +1 AP, right? All this kind of stuff, but it's all very bitty. And if you can, if you play well to deal with their battle line, you can make it their life harder that way as well. So I'm I don't know. I think AdMech are really good, and they're definitely one of those things that I think are at the top of the metagame and very worth considering. But I also just haven't seen them convert the numbers to put me thinking that like either the player base has not mastered it yet, right? We've just not seen really any results from them so far that have been like, nobody's won a super major with them yet. Which I feel like if they were, bonkers busted, we would have seen that by now.
Yep. We'll kind of have to see what happens, I suppose.
Yeah, and maybe just like the build's not been found yet, or people are still kind of splitting between do I play Halo, do I play Radzone, do I play Skitaria Hunter Core? I know a lot of people have been talking about like AdMech like Skitaria Hunter Core for the American meta game. We've seen a lot of Radzone coming out of Europe, right? Like, but there's been a lot of it, but it's just not until I see someone really truly show it's going to continue to be an army that's just like on the radar, but it's on the radar. It's not just the entire radar.
Yeah, it's not. It is. Like the stats say that it's doing really well, but it hasn't won like a super large event yet. So it's like at the top, but like what does that mean is still kind of not like out there a little bit, I think, right? Okay. The next question is from Henry the Wizard. My birthday is this weekend. Happy birthday, Henry
Happy
the
birthday,
Wizard.
Henry.
I have a penguin fact for you because, that seems like a good birthday gift for you since you leave those in our notes all the time. Did you know that there are many penguins that have an internal pressure valve in their beaks? There you go.
Hell yeah.
And then the question from Henry is, what's one thing everyone should do before they hit the big 3-0? I assume 30 and not 3-0 at an RTT.
I don't know. I'm not 30.
My advice is always to, make sure you check something off your bucket list. So have a bucket list and then check something off of it. That's what you should do before you turn 30. You should also go to the doctor and make sure that you're checked out. Because once you turn 30, it's just all downhill body-wise from there, bud. All downhill. All right. Next question is from Jeff, which is, how are we feeling about Invictor Warsuits in Shadowmark?
I think one seems very solid. I don't think I will have more than that. But the first one being able to like give you some turn one pressure in an army that's very good at going second is very nice. Sure. It's just nice to have a unit that you can like, if you go first, it can scout 8, move 8, advance and charge, and advance and shoot, and then go and like kill some screens to make your rapid ingress better, to make your dev sense have an easier time, right? Just like go and do some stuff.
The next question is from Simon H. Pledging politely, which is the general consensus has turned from Raven Guard is the best attachment in one of the best factions to Raven Guard is deeply flawed and no one wants to take it to WCW. Is that an issue that can be ironed out with list changes or a fundamental issue of the detachment? This hurts my soul.
I hate playing with Vanguard veterans. I hate playing with 10 Vanguard and being like, yeah, this will do something. It never feels like it does. Nos had a fantastic weekend with Shadowmark. He went 5-0 at Battle for Britain. He was like 20 people left and right. It's a very, very clearly powerful army. It has very, very good damage. But every time I play with the Vanguard veteran squad, I'm just so let down.
I think one of the interesting things that like comes up here is that like there's a difference in what is powerful when you're talking to people like Innis who are looking to win WTC at events versus like what the general statistics say about what is a powerful faction and army and what consistently doles out results at that level as well. Because Shadowmark is one of the highest win rate detachments in the game. I think it might be the highest win rate detachment that's played frequently and has won a ton of events. That doesn't mean that Innis and other people are wrong if they say something like that on the internet. I don't know who specifically said that. I'm just using.
I have broadly found that the tools that Shadowmark has are quite telegraphed. Now that doesn't mean they're bad. It just means that they are very like you kind of know what Shadowmark's going to do. The ingress squad is going to threaten to ingress, but it's not really that good at doing it and then doing something. Yep. The DevSense squad can only move 4 or teleport. You know exactly where it can come down. The Inceptor squad, it's Inceptors. We've all played against Inceptors before. Now, the combination of all those things is quite powerful, but it's one of those things that as you get more and more practiced, it has real diminishing returns, right? The more you've played against a detachment like it, the tougher it gets. It's also quite vulnerable to just getting vibe checked and just shoved at. And also for WCW, we don't know what the goddamn metagame is going to be because we could play 17 games on layout 8, or we could be playing on layout 3 and 5 the entire event. Those all create very different value propositions, and people have to try to take an army that's as agnostic to terrain as they can to an event like this because you just don't know what it's going to be like. Or you can kind of go in with like, I'm going to just like take a bet and I'm going to roll the dice and hope that I get it right, which is very stressful for someone who wants to do well at the event. So it creates a really disjointed set of incentives for everyone, which makes it a really stressful event to prep for.
Yeah, if there's one thing that you will notice about competitive players is that they generally are risk adverse and would like to find something that's as minimally risk adverse as possible. Or like as
certainly like risk averse before the event as well,
correct.
Right? Like, I don't want to play something where I'm like, fuck, I got it wrong and the missions are bad.
Yep. Gustavo has the next question, by the way, which is guard at 37% this week. I assume win rate. Can we have a moment of silence for its demise and await the buffs? No, we cannot.
No, I think Guard should get nerfed again.
Guard is a great faction, and people need to stop trying to convince people otherwise.
All the buffs for Guard should come in the form of like buffs to garbage data sheets. That's all that they should get buffed on.
I agree,
because that will improve the Guard player's average win rate by making their actual data sheet, the data sheets that everyone plays anyway, at least a bit more playable.
They should keep adding buffs to Bane Blades and Bane Blade related chassis.
Yeah, exactly, and Lehman Russes, like regular ones.
Yep, just the basic.
Give the tank commander back full D6 plus 3 shots on his Demolisher cannon, for fuck's sake.
Actually, what I want to see is Vindicators have D6 plus 1 shots on their Demolisher cannons.
Can they come down 40 points? I'll just play them for the 2-up save then?
Sure.
Sick.
All right. Marcus, the bad player, has the next question, which is, with all the fight on death armies like Orcs, World Leaders, Gladius Marines, or fights first Eldar Banshees, are Warp Talons still a good investment for CSM in the current meta?
Yes.
Okay. Scott has the next question.
Not everyone can fight on death, and you're playing very frequently. You're playing Cypher and a Vectora, or you're playing Cypher, Vectora, and Nemesis Claw. Like, come on, what are we doing?
Yeah, you can make all those things cost a lot more. Is the key. People need to remember that their combat armies basically need a Vector to help them do stuff, and that's okay. You just need to do that. You need to have a Vector to help you out. All right. Scott M has a question, which is guard buffs when? Side note. How would you go about internally balancing the guard book to diversify some of the current lists? I think their guard lists have 3 detachments that are winning. What do you want?
Hey, Scott, amazing job at Coventry this weekend, man. Well done on the 7-1. And yeah, with guard, by the way, just in case anyone was wondering.
Yeah. Wow.
I think the buffs would want to go into some of the underplayed data sheets, right? So you're looking at stuff like, okay, can we buff? I don't think I touch anything that's artillery shaped, but potentially you can look at putting some power back into Tempa, into some of the Scion stuff, potentially putting some power back into some of the Lehman Russ variants. Maybe tank commanders is where I would start.
I will say I think that guard are fine. You may want to fix some internal balance a little bit, but they have won events across 3 different detachments in our slightly old data at this point, and I think that's okay. It is okay for there to be enough builds that people can win with 3 different detachments in an army. That usually means that the army is actually balanced relatively well internally. But I know, I get it. I really do. I promise. Will F has the next question, which is, what is your best guess on how many points your Fuegan killed over the weekend?
I would guess 4,800 a game for 5 games.
Fair.
It might be more than that. Let me just count for my game 5, and then we can kind of extrapolate from there. So game 5, he killed a battle wagon, which is 160.
Mm-hmm.
Then he killed like a knob unit, which is like 200 with the character.
Mm-hmm.
Then he killed a truck and a commando unit, which is like another 160. Mm-hmm. And then he killed like the squad aggression on my opponent's objective, which is like 40. So that was like 400 or 500 points. So like that was probably the game that he killed the least in. So yeah, I'm probably moving like between 3,000 and 4,000 points.
There you go.
While costing 400 across 4, so costing about 2,000.
Aaron Imperialis Knight has the next question, which is, how do you best evaluate your losses to understand what you needed to do to win them? Or do you sometimes accept that you were never going to win a game and start evaluating why? Asking for a friend in parentheses.
So the easiest place to start with is looking at, okay, what was the characteristic of the game? Was it that you made a mistake and you got blown out? Okay, well, you need to address like what went into the decision that resulted in the mistake, right? Were you just not thinking about it? Did you not know your opponent's army well enough? Did you not deploy correctly? Did you underestimate something? Did you overestimate something, right? Like where did the fundamental flaw, when did the game go from being a game that you were playing to a game that you were losing and trying to damage control? And that you need to kind of work backwards to what then became the steps that went to that point, and then start working back from that information, because you will the point where you realize the game was lost is not the point where you started losing the game, right? That happened significantly beforehand, and your job is to go through and kind of go, okay, at some point in here, a decision, an assumption, a dice roll, something. Oftentimes, many things went wrong, right? It's you slightly misdeployed a couple units here, and here. You overestimated your win condition. You underestimated your damage output. You thought your opponent was going to deploy in a certain way, and they didn't. They thought they were going to take some risks, and they didn't. And it's all a lot of it times it's about what assumptions you made and what the inputs that you're giving to the game being incorrect. And then on top of that, then you can start adding in like, okay, was it micro decision, was it macro decisions, and that starts helping you give you direction on where you need to work on down the line, right? Was it I was putting my models in the wrong places, or was I was making the wrong choices, right? A lot of the time, it's like, oh yeah, I lost this game because I left one guy hanging in the open and he got shot. Okay, well, why was he in the open, right? Did he need to be there for secondary? Did you misdeploy him? Is that the maximum distance you get on advance, right? Is it a micro mistake or a macro mistake? And everything that you do will have all of these different inputs feeding through, and your job is to adjust to those choices and kind of go through and say, okay, I'm making this choice, and this choice that are going wrong. Obviously, Aaron, you were at the team event this weekend. Was it board choice? Was it lack of understanding of the matchups? Was it just getting out skilled, right? But like getting out skilled, there is a process to that too, right? So often when I'm looking at it, when I think about the games where I'm, out skilling my opponent or like out muscling them, it's because they've deployed wrong. It's because I recognize that they've left a gap and that they've underestimated my damage, or they've underestimated my mobility, or they're trying to play too much of the board at once and they're not just castling on an objective and making my life harder that way. So many of the games I play that are 20 nils would be 12s if my opponent just said, I'm going to sit on these two objectives. And then a lot of those would be 10s if my opponent was like, and now I'm going to redraw every card that I don't like and try to hit 40 points on secondaries, 40 points on the primary. And you're not going to get better. You're not going to do better than that if you're not got any opportunities. But people try to play so much of the board, too much of the board. Pick a triangle, pick 3 objectives, control those 3 objectives. Threaten your opponent's objective expansion once or twice. That'll get you to an 11 most games you play. You don't have to do that much.
That makes sense. All right. Next question is from Isaac Shadow Crayon T. What should I run at my RGT this weekend? Willing to take funny suggestions.
Whatever you think you're best at right now, Isaac. You should work on getting good at the game before you start playing funny things.
Damn it. All right. Now that we've bullied Isaac, Alternative Clover asks if you were absolutely.
But realistically, you should play the Hammer of Aurelius because you were enjoying it and it looked like good fun.
That makes more sense. You know what? I'm going to say play something funny. Play the Lysander Imperial Fist attachment with a brick of 10 Terminators.
Don't do that to him. He doesn't deserve that. That's bullying.
that is bullying. I'm sorry. I went too far, Ines. Alternative Clover's question is, if you were absolutely forced to play a Helldrake, in what army and what detachment would you play it?
Go to repeat that one for me.
I think it's what army and what.
If I was forced to play a Helldrake, Emperor's Children by far. I think they have like the best version of it, and it also gets the advance and stuff, and it's movement 20.
Yeah,
I don't think it's good, but I think it's the best place for it.
And then the last question for the evening is from Sean, which is AdMech being overtuned right now means that I can put on the weighted clothing and take a Thopter or 2 off the shelf for the first time in like 4 years. Any ideas for funny things to do with either the gunships or the transport Thopter?
I need to go and read these data sheets. God, give me a second.
Yeah,
I've not read the Stratoraptor. I've not read the Archaeopter.
I mean, I haven't looked at them since 9th edition when they were actually.
Let me real quick have a look. So the Fusillade still does the bomb, which is okay. It still has garbage guns, just 18 stubber shots, and it costs 160 points. So that one's unplayable. The Transvector has hover mode and Strat Reserve, and it can set up on turn 1, so it's a drop pod basically. And it transports 11 infantry. Okay, the Transvector is kind of funny for doing. You can do the 10-man squad with the fire and fading enhancement in Qatari Conhor and deep strike it turn 1 whenever you want it, shoot it, and then fire and fade back into the plane. That's the only fun that I think that would be kind of funny. It is way too expensive for what it is, but that would be very funny, and I think that is what I would do with it if I had to. The Stratoraptor has a twin Cognus las cannon, a heavy phosphor blaster, and a Cognus heavy stubber. It has 2 heavy phosphor blasters and 2 heavy phosphor. Okay, and it gets possible against units that cannot fly, and it's 185. This one also sucks. You should do the fire and fading thing. That sounds funny.
That at least sounds cute and kind of funny.
Yeah, or you could use it to deep strike. That's the only reasonable shooting unit. You could also do it with 10 Corpuscari in Halo Screed. Can you do it in Halo Screed? Where they get you can give them the buff and then they drop out. Yeah. Whatever the one that has the good shooting stratagem. I think it's maybe it's Radzone where you can give them the The one where you can give them crit 5s. I think it's Halo. It's either Halo Screed or Radzone.
That's Halo
And
Screed, I think.
deep
Yeah.
strike that with the Transvector. That'd be kind of funny.
Yeah. Fair enough. That is all the questions.
Probably the most interesting thing I can think to do with it.
That is the last of the questions. So now I'm going to pop over to the Cult of the High Five stuff because I know that it makes
Halo. Crit 5s is Halo. There we go.
There you go. So we're going to do the Cult of the High Five callouts. If you join the most expensive tier, the Patreon, which is $15 a month, you get a call out at the end of every episode thanking you. And you get to customize all those call outs. And I'm so proud of all of you I'm so proud of all of you for occasionally customizing them. I wish you would customize them more because they're very funny sometimes and I enjoy them. Otherwise, you also get a bunch of in-person benefits, including kisses from the Polish members if you want them, and a crisp high five if you don't. And the crisp high five is claimable from any of the hosts of the various shows. So, So here are those callouts. Thank you to Christopher. If Death Guard become Codex compliant, can they get +1 to wound to Irvine? I do really need you to change that, Chris. It's getting to be too much. Thank you to Willow Weeks. Thank you to Dan F. Thank you to Luke. Harridan's taking the Subway McCarthy, which is always funny, and I like it. Thank you to David Crewed Alone, Week. Crewed Together, Strong Clark. Thank you to Exhausted. That is indeed how we all feel in this current environment. Thank you to James H. Thank you to Colton, Dan F. Miller. Thank you to Fungus. Thank you to John, V8 Gang. This bit has been canceled because the joke expired before the next show. I wonder what it was now. Thank you to Cam, F. Dan, Morton, Hog Emoji. Thank you to Lady Malice's Footstool. Thank you to Josiah Gattle. Thank you to Frankie, Sneaky, Beaky, Fresh. Thank you to Isaac. Tonight on StatCheck, Innes claimed he is not a member of the Eldar Union, in parentheses, lies. Nathan made an original Eldar experience. It was bad. And Anthony became Innes's list daddy. He likes it, in parentheses. Thank you to 6 Dev Cents in a trench coat. Thank you to Thomas Can't Corner Me If I Do It Myself of Vercoision, which is funny because it's written like this in 2 different cells. Thank you to Stephen, Lone Op, Reactive Move, Necron Warriors, Ross. Thank you to Embracing the 4++ Casino of Parenting.
It's Qatari infantry only, so you can't do the E-Priest thing. Okay, just do it with the Fire Fade Unit and Sonic Core. That's fine. It's not worth it, but it'll be funny.
Damn. Thank you to I've resisted the temptation of the White Scar bikes, which means I have once again been marked safe from Space Marines. Thank you to Heart Emoji. Thank you to Nathan. Please read the first line in the fanfic tab. It's so good, and I promise safe for work. Which fanfic tab? There's like 4 now. All right, I'll read the first line. Lorgar stood there, garrully measuring his lore. He spat, thinking of that bitch Rabo. He hated how he bitchily cheesed Lorsgar and the way it looked when Gar's Lorgar garnished a skirt. What a bitch. But I want him to be my bitch, Lore thought garrully. There you go. I read it. I don't know what I read, but I read it. Thank you to Come With Me on a Gucci Adventure, trademarked. Thank you to Joe, the human equivalent of a failed 6-inch charge. Thank you to John Garza. And thank you to Henry. Male Gentoo penguins offer their favorite pebble to their chosen partner as a marriage proposal, the wizard. And yeah, there's a new fanfic tab, Don't Call the Cops, in parentheses, updated. There's a I really didn't need to tab here with an arrow. And then Nathan likes big tabs and he cannot lie. And that's all I'm gonna report for today. So yeah, I'm done. Thank you everybody for joining that tier.
The Kanak VAR model, really easy to build. Looks kind of cool. The servo skulls are a bit fiddly. The Subodin model is actually kind of great. I had a really easy time putting this together, and even the grav plates weren't that much of a bitch.
Does he have a helmet?
He does have a helmet.
Amazing.
I even built him with it. I don't know if I can.
That is a good looking helmet. Oh, it's a beaky, the best kind of helmet.
Yeah, he's got like a proper.
I love it.
Bring my light a little closer.
Honestly, that makes me so much happier. I got to go buy that model, I think. We'll see how it goes.
You have to buy the full combat patrol right now, which is a little.
That's too much.
Yeah.
Well, I'll think about it.
I was like, I can probably use a 3rd impulsor, and I don't have enough assault instructors anyway, so I didn't mind. But the rest of that stuff is going in the big box of models to get built when I need them.
I get you. I mean, fair and reasonable. All right. Well, on that note, everybody, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I hope you do well at whatever tournaments you're going to this weekend. I hope Innes has wonderful travels to WC.
I'm doing nothing this weekend. I have a scrim with Portugal, and that's it. And I'm not even playing.
There you go.
So I'm just going to rep for Worlds.
There you go. So everybody, have a wonderful week and a wonderful weekend. I'll see you next week.
Catch you all next time.